All right, we are now live, stylishly on time as usual. And see, look, I can say that because YouTube don't know. So if I say that we were on time, for all they know, we actually are on time, which is, that's what we're doing. And a little of historical revisionism here. But anyway, welcome to Tea Time. It's Tea Time, guys. We actually have a bonus guest. That's how exciting this Tea Time is. You all thought it was going to be Pang, Nike, Mela, and myself, but actually, that was a lie, okay? Brazil is now in the mixer as well. Last minute, he jumps in, he materializes. He's in a different area of the screen, okay? Normally, he's he's in the bottom left. This time, he's in the top left there as well. He's ascended to the top half there. You love to see that, you really do. Pang will be joining us very, very shortly. He's simply been delayed a bit with some in real life things, but don't worry about that because here we go. It's tea time, and we actually have a few interesting topics to discuss today. First off, of course, we're going to be talking a little bit about Echovald Wilds and the latest map that has been teased by ArenaNet, some of the details there, and some of the things that we can maybe infer from how the map looks and how the development style appears to be there, some of the content, the events, a little bit about Catalyst there and elite specializations, because of course we saw a little bit of a tweak. It was one of those things that it was very interesting to watch out for because, of course, the players playing through the content were indeed on a Catalyst, and an extra little mechanic was shown off there with an update to the new elite specialization. And then after that, then we get to the meat. Then we get to the energy of this tea time, which is actually going to be beyond End of Dragons, actually, because I had a conversation on stream the other day, kind of talking about the value of content and how ArenaNet could potentially monetize their game a little bit more, because obviously ArenaNet has had trouble with generating revenue. That is tends to how it goes when you tend to not release anything that you actually sell. ArenaNet only sell mount skins and stuff. They don't sell any of the content that they spend so much time developing, and also just the future. Like, where are we going with expansions? Are there going to be more elite specializations? What else could they add to the game, right? Because there's a lot of elite specs in the game. There's not a lot more things they can add. Like, can they release something as groundbreaking as mounts every single time? Honestly, probably not, right? The design space for what ArenaNet has, or what ArenaNet can add to the game is closing in on them, right? They are going to have to think about something else. And hey, who knows, maybe even Guild Wars 3. That's probably the least likely of all of those things. But it is something worth considering there as well. So an exciting show ahead. Of course, welcome to my guests here as well. It's Brazil. There he is. Mela has now appeared. And of course, the leader of one of the gangs, one of these things, and we'll get into this later, Nike will walk us through this, but there is actually, they in Cantha, obviously they have a different dialect here to, the main area of Tyria, but one of the new gangs, if you actually literally translate it from Canthan into Crichton, it does actually translate in the Echovald Wilds as the Onion Gang, right? And look, this is just how prophetic Nike really was about creating this onion guide. Onions are essentially going to be one of the key resources that these gangs will be fighting over in the Echovald Wilds, right? It's a brutal turf war on who actually has the most lucrative and fertile soil to actually grow onions in the expansion. So yes, welcome to the show there indeed. Onion Gang leader Nike.
Yep. Onions are a very important part of traditional Asian cooking. So I expect big things from onions in the X pack.
Buy them out now. Manipulate the market. Buy onions.
Yeah. Do it.
If you can only farm them in Queensdale, let's think about this.
Unfortunately, they're everywhere. But
well, if you can only farm them daily, and there, as we all know, there are only 25 people that play Guild Wars 2. So if you buy out the market, only 25 accounts can farm them each day. So you can only increase your money. You can only increase your gold. Create so much demand.
Imagine if there is a version of reality where there's like new food recipes that come out with the expansion. Legendary food. It like power creeps it even more. You get like another 10% modifier on top of ascended food. And a key ingredient is onions. Like spiking the price of onions up to the moon, right? That I can see something like that could happen, right? There is a version of reality where that could happen. It will be exciting. But regardless of that, let us launch directly into our first topic. And that is, of course, the latest map that has been revealed. The second one we've seen so far after Xingjie Island. It's going to be Echovald Wilds. It is, of course, very, very reminiscent of something we've seen so far in Guild Wars 1. Guild Wars 1 factions there with the Echovald Forest's general biome and area. Things have changed a little bit, and we didn't get that much of insight into it. Overall, they are, avoiding spoilers. They're playing it fairly close to the chest, but one thing that really impressed me about the map was how vast it was, right? A lot of maps in Guild Wars 2, they don't feel huge, right? You never really feel dwarfed by the surroundings, but this area was massive. There were like huge trees everywhere, like massive structures, massive architecture going on. So I was definitely a big fan of that from an aesthetics point of view, and it was also very nice to see a meta event, right? Because we didn't really see that there was even going to be anything really like that. On Xingji, it looked to be more like a fairly more sedate, relaxing area with like a snake boss and that kind of stuff. But it is good that we do see a pretty interesting meta event coming through there. But I think one thing that you brought up, Nike, that I think I'd like to hear more about is that you think that this map appears to be a lot more polished than the first, right? Why did you say that? Why do you think that's the case?
I sort of got the impression when we saw Xingji that like a lot of stuff was unfinished in terms of like textures, animations, and like the events and like markers on the map. It just had a very unfinished look, whereas just this map looked a lot done. It looked done. It looked like it was releasable today, and it would have been fine to play. I don't know. It was just my impression that the expansion's coming along pretty fast, and it sort of makes me think that they have, instead of it being like one team that's doing all 4 maps, that like each map has its own set of devs and they're all being developed in parallel, which would make some sense in the time. Polishing Xingji and hadn't started polishing the other maps, it would be like, well, time is ticking. So most likely they are developing them in parallel.
Yeah, and that seems to be like, of course, the Jade Sea is going to be coming up next very, very shortly. A little bit of robot there, guys. A little bit of robo gaming there. We'd love to see that there as well. The internet is a reliable thing here. But yeah,
Beep, boop.
I mean, yeah, beep, boop, indeed. But I think the really important thing here for me is definitely that meta event, and they've gone an interesting direction with this one. It's almost like a new version of Drizzlewood Coast. So you actually have these, well, maybe even more than that, right? You have these actual non-player character gangs actually battling against each other, and well, essentially 3 factions, right? Because you have the 2 gangs and this peacekeeper force, the Kestrels, going about all over the place, which is pretty interesting, actually. I think that's going to make it, I think they're maybe trying to really focus on immersion. I hope we see that actually continue into the other maps there as well, because I think Guild Wars 2 has struggled to get away from like how gamey it is sometimes. Sometimes it's like very obvious, oh yeah, this is a video game, right? It doesn't have that like full in-depth immersion factor where you can kind of really almost forget you're playing a game to an extent, right? Which is what some MMOs recently, I think New World recently has really focused on this and tried to, make it like a very, well, immersive experience, guys. It's the only word for it. Which is really good to see, actually. I think that a lot of the maps are going to have a huge amount of detail in them and a huge amount of like, in a way, those role play factors built in to the way they work, which I think is going to be pretty cool stuff indeed. Was there anything else that you guys kind of noticed on the map that was particularly interesting to anyone there? Or do we just not care about it?
The architecture and like the jade and everything was really cool, and it wasn't saturated to fuck.
Yeah,
It was everything was very aesthetically pleasing. It looked really good. I think it looks really nice.
There was
personally. Oh, go on, sir.
I was gonna say there was a lot of Guild Wars 1 nostalgia packed into the map, like basically everywhere. There was like Guild Wars 1, like very little had changed architecturally. Like that's what the buildings looked like in Guild Wars 1 for the most part. Like it was the exact same. And since obviously no one cares about Luxon nostalgia from Guild Wars 1 because they have zero memorable characters and 0 like interesting NPCs and 0 interesting towns or landmarks, that I'm going to guess that the Kurzik Superior side will be all all nostalgia, and the Luxon side will be all new because it was so bad in Guild Wars 1 that they have to completely like come up with a new thing for that, and there'll be a lot less nostalgia happening on the Luxon side. Yep.
Wow, that is like
on the
a
Lux
big.
side,
Oh yeah, sorry, go
I
ahead.
actually I kind of agree with Brazil. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of oh, we have Jade, it's green. Let's make the entire map
The
completely
waypoints.
green, right? Yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of making everything green, so I am happy that it's still well done, even if you remove the green effect from them, like from what we've seen anyway. Very well done maps. I never played Guild Wars 1, so this is all new to me, and it all looks amazing. I don't know how close to the original buildings they were, but as you mentioned on the stream, Teapot, apparently they did a really good job to keep it close to the original, right? Which people should be really happy about that. But one thing that I saw is that now they mentioned that we have mounts we can explore vertically, right? And I really like jumping puzzles as well. So I really, really hope that they do bring some jumping puzzles back. Because I think jumping puzzles in this game are really good. I was really happy when they added the new one, which isn't really new anymore, to Lion's Arch after they reworked it. Because it was actually fun, especially when you didn't have mounts yet, because PF was not in the game. I really, really hope that they do add some jumping puzzles, if they didn't do that yet, which I would be surprised, to be honest. And I mean, it doesn't have to be as hard as stuff like Chalice of Tears. But I do like jumping puzzles. Collections, even without collections, I think they're just fun stuff to do. I mostly do like raids and fractals, but whenever jumping puzzles in the game, it actually, it's kind of nice to take a break and just go around pressing spacebar a lot. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It would be a shame to squander all of that verticality and not at least have a little bit of, no mount zone. And I think in general, this is something that I think they do need to be very cognizant of when they're designing these maps. Mounts exist, and that does mean that the way you design maps has to really accommodate for that, particularly if you're dealing with verticality, because, well, I mean, ArenaNet, they're not the biggest fan of third-party programs, but they decided that they would give every single player their own version of Fly Hack, right? If you just complete the Skyscale collection. So they have to accommodate for that now. And I'll be very interested to see what they've actually done to try and do that. Like, I don't think they'll actually restrict mount usage that much, because I think they want, obviously their players to get value out of the things they've obtained in the previous expansions. But I really do hope that there are some areas. I mean, you can even have like stuff like Jackal puzzles, like in Path of Fire, right? Or something like that. Puzzles using the new masteries potentially that are coming out with the expansion that can maybe limit the effectiveness of mounts, and maybe even gliding to make some like really fun exploration puzzles there too, because it will be a shame to not have that stuff. I think that's some of the really cool parts about the way that ArenaNet have historically designed their maps. And yeah, it is very good to see that the way they've gone about this is it's very faithful to Guild Wars 1. I think that's going to get a lot of the hopefully they can try and appease the lore nerds after what happened with the Icebrood saga. That might be a little bit difficult to do. I think people are still going to be very, very sore over the way Primordius and Jormag were dealt with. But this it might be a little bit of a like, oh, sorry, like you can role play as a Cursor again. Look, do it, guys, do it. And maybe that.
What are you talking about? Jormag and Primordius French kissed each other to death. That's hot and a fitting end.
Well, there were so in Path of Fire, you had the Forge that put down, and the Undead also. They put down those traps. So like if you ran over them with a raptor, it would knock you off and damage you. There were those in the video. So if you run over them, presumably they'll just knock you off your mount. What if they have anti-aircraft batteries too? And siege turtles that will shoot you out of the air. And I wonder how that will actually interact with third-party software. If you try to go flying, but you flag yourself as being on the ground while you're in the air, which that's what the Dragon Stand people do, right? All the Dragon Stand bots. I'm really curious to see if they do something, if they add in some anti-air support for gliding and skyscale and stuff to keep you out of jumping puzzles, to keep you from going into the bases with all the Jade tech and shit. If they actually have something that would troll the fly hackers and the auto map completers, if they just shoot them down out of the air or shoot them whenever they're running, that'd be amazing.
I mean, if they want to introduce an fly hack system, they
could put them under the map too. They could put the Jade cannons under the map.
Yeah.
Just we know you're here. Okay, we're just gonna take you out. Well, This could be unrelated, and it probably isn't directly targeted at this, and it's maybe, more looking at something like, implementing skiffs and the new physics that come with that. But there was actually a patch, I think, just the other day, right, where they updated every single collision mesh for every single map in the game, right? And again, that's probably because of of skiffs and the physics that bring, or maybe even something to do with siege turtles, right? Because in the next beta coming up, we're actually going to be able to try out siege turtles, which that'll be interesting. That'll be fun to see if that's going to make it to World vs. World, because they are actually considering, adding them to World vs. World, by the way. So we might even have a bit of a World vs. World siege turtle test. See how that one goes. Could be pretty interesting.
Yikes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there is maybe some potential for attacking these types of bad actors by using some in-game systems. I mean, there has to be something like that, right? Like the way ArenaNet handle hacking and botting. This is a bit off topic, but it's a topic that comes up a lot, so we might as well talk about it a bit, right? The way hacking is handled right now is pretty much all manual, right? Like, if you don't report someone or make a ticket about someone hacking, they won't get banned, as I understand it, because they don't really have much of there's not really much of a system automated in place that deals with this stuff. I think the really big one is stuff like the automated tournament multi-boxes, right? For such a long time, these people have got banned. I mean, hey, I spam reported them, so maybe it actually did eventually work, although it backfired. Here's a funny story. Basically, every single day, there was this one guy who would run 10, 15 accounts, right? And he would just play on all of them in the automated tournament and just AFK basically to free farm a actually disgusting amount of gold, because there aren't that many teams. So, even if there are only like 6 teams, you're still going to get about 10 gold per account. And he was doing it on like 10 to 15 accounts every single day. And I think they did actually get banned. It took a very long time. It was going on for months and months and months. And, the teams I would play with would report them. But team, I've made a terrible mistake, because now I try and do automated tournaments at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and they actually just don't start because not enough people enter them. And without the multi-box teams, the tournament just doesn't start, because you need 4 teams to start a tournament. And without the multi-boxes, now no one can play. Unlucky.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Ping! The multi-boxer himself is here. We all know that your raid streams are just multi-box.
Pang.
Oh, we can't. Can we? I don't think we can hear you.
Wait,
you cannot hear me?
Oh, we hear you now.
We hear you now. Ooh.
You cut your hair.
No, I just restyled it.
Oh, wait. Do you guys hear that?
That's very misdestructoid.
Yeah, that microphone is scuffed.
Also, I just want to when Peng joined the call, my keyboard stopped working.
Good.
Hacker.
Pang hacked you. You've been compromised. Now I have to move the entire overlay as well. What the hell?
You can just cut me out of it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm
People
deleting
don't need
Brazil.
to see my face.
Brazil is out of here. He's done. And not just on Twitch.
So before we move off the subject of Echovald, they kept hinting that there was something important behind that portal that we weren't allowed to see yet. And I'm guessing that's the portal to Arborstone, which was a castle in a Kurzik fortress in Guild Wars 1. And I think it might be a guild hall. I don't know if they announced how many guild halls that there would be, but it definitely seemed like a portal to a potentially a guild hall.
Where you can fight each other. You can fight enemy factions in the guild hall and do guild hall stuff like Guild Wars 1.
That's maybe a little too much copium, even for TeaTime.
No, we could do it. This is a positive TeaTime.
We haven't even begun to hit the copium yet. Wait till we talk about the future of the game.
Oh.
I'll have copium going into one arm, copium going into the other, eyes closed, mouth open. Let's go, ArenaNet. Totally.
Dude, that was amazing, dude. Everything just broke. Audio's broke and overlays are broke.
My apologies.
Is the way it should be, okay? And yeah,
I have taken over.
We just blame Pang. We're just throwing Pang under the bus for this one. It's all on him.
Well, really, it's my fault.
Oh my god, OBS is being
is
really
what it
weird.
is.
I'm not even sure if I can fix this anymore. This is being bizarre. Great. But anyway, no, I think the Arborstone portal here, or that portal, is actually super interesting in general. I mean, it definitely could be a guild hall. We know that there's one guild hall confirmed. Of course, we got 2 with Heart of Thorns, so it's definitely possible. However, I don't think it is going to be a guild hall. And the reason why I don't think it's going to be a guild hall is because I don't think they're really investing in guild tech that much right now at all. Because, I mean, look, when was the last time we had a guild update, guys? Yeah, that's right. Basically never. So I kind of don't see it. I'm expecting it to be something else. Like either another zone. Like, maybe, like a meta. It could be like a really meta-driven zone, right? It could be like this castle has been like infested, right? With some kind of enemy, right? Because, well, in Guild Wars 1, right? There were like dredge all over the place in camp, right? I think there was loads of dredge in like Urgos' 1, right? Like the dredge had like taken over. Like swarms of these little moles all over the place. I think it's not a raid instance, guys. Listen, okay? I'm gonna start banning people.
I
think it is
way too much copium.
No,
That's
I
too
think
much.
it is a raid.
Yeah, that's too far. We've got to draw the
You know
line
what?
somewhere.
It is a raid, and they put up a decoy portal skin just so they didn't freak us out and didn't make people excited. They did it on purpose. They put a fake portal skin, so it's not the red portal, the raid portal. And they're just tricking us. They're playing a prank. It is going to be a raid for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just randomly even though they've got strike missions coming out, it's Wing 8 the entire time.
It's a raid. Yeah, it's for sure a raid. It's
not
a
even
guild
the strike
hall
portal
raid.
either.
It's a raid, and when you finish the raid, it's a hard mode raid, only hard mode.
Oh,
And when you finish the raid, you get an exclusive guild hall.
Okay.
Challenge
That's
mode
what it
only
is.
raid, and it locks
Yeah.
a guild hall. Like that's what you're going with here.
That's it. That's what happens. It's for a fact. I've been right about everything I've said, including legendary armor. So just tell me whenever I'm right about this.
Well, I mean, if you want to make it sound more realistic, you could even throw in like ArenaNet's going to monitor the instance, and if anyone who appears to be a buyer is in the instance, they get insta banned along with the sellers. So that's what's going to keep it very exclusive.
Do you guys think it could be almost like a very special type of map? Almost a bit like Dragonstorm, where it is actually like a very heavily meta-oriented instance, right? And maybe you join it as a squad or something like that, like a bit like Dragonstorm.
Marionette.
And or Marionette or something like that. And you actually have to complete this meta event with a squad. So it's kind of like a hybrid between an open world map and a dungeon, right? A fractal,
dungeon,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Yeah, like almost like a giant open world dungeon. Do you think they would add? The thing is, like,
They're not going to do a new game mode, unfortunately.
well, it's just like that. Yeah, I was going to say, right? Surely they would have hit us with that already. If it was going to be like that, and we're adding this new type of map, they would have already dropped that, like, in the hype. Then again, it's ArenaNet, dude. Like, seriously, it's fucking ArenaNet. Who knows what these guys are going to do, right? Okay,
do not advertise the features of your expansion. Do not do that. It's really bad.
Well, I mean,
what if the Marionette tech was just a test for that? Like, it totally could have been.
That's true. And you got to bear in mind, Nike. Do you know what the headline feature for the expansion was? That they were like, we're super hyped to announce this?
Fishing.
Yeah. Like, when it comes to marketing, they are on a level that transcends regular human understanding, right? Like, other expansions, they say, we've got new raid, new dungeons, new specs, or, like new builds, right? Like new content, new maps. ArenaNet, fishing, right? They just drop it. They just drop that as the big bomb, right? Oh, yeah. Fishing, by the way. It's like the main.
It's like it'd be advertising like the casino in Crystal Oasis as the big feature of POF.
Yeah,
like ecto gambling in the casino as the big feature.
Yeah. To be fair, that was good, right? That is some good content, Like that will be ecto gambling is very important. I've got a lot of hours of entertainment out of that.
I really hope that they never do a new game mode. Like I'm honestly, I am genuinely terrified of that idea because dungeons, strikes, fractals, raids. I forgot the RMs even existed. I'm not even miming. Like, please, I just stop releasing new game modes. I don't know, merge the old ones together, delete some of the current ones. I don't know, like just stop adding new names, new things, and then abandon them right after. Just stop doing that.
Wouldn't
It's
stuff
so
like that?
depressing.
Wouldn't stuff like that be a really good way to, in a way, we were talking about how they aren't really working on guild content, but wouldn't this be a really good way to actually do this? I want to get Pang's take on this, as well, because Dragonstorm is a scalable instance meta event that you can do with 10 of your friends, you can do it with 20 of your friends, you can do it with your whole guild, right? Wouldn't this be a really interesting way to do that? Because you could still have what we have with Dragonstorm, where we have a public version and we have a private version. You could even have the private version be way more difficult and way more rewarding, right? You could have to, and what I really like was, because they talked about this on the map too, right? They talked about the fact that in order to open certain areas of the map, like all these different portals, you have to actually complete certain parts of the meta event, and complete areas of the content, right? To unlock these portals. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting to have, everyone's doing the meta on the open world map, and then people kind of make little squads and have these expeditions into this kind of next level of open world content, right? Like, in a way, trying to create a bridge between open world and instance content. I mean, the more I think about this, the more copium I'm starting to take it, because that makes perfect sense, right? It would be a bridge that is very much needed from the open world content and something that's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more engaging, because I think a lot of players do get lost in that, trying to step up to the more instance content in the game. Because in open world, you're 1-1-1ing, right? You're spamming auto attack, right? You're feeding, deep into the open world bosses. Dying to chat Garen. But this would be another way to do it, and we already have that technology, right? With Dragonstorm, with the Marionette, they've done 2 versions of it right now. With the private and the public, they developed the tech by making it only start when the commander talks to it in Marionette, right? They made it so you can talk to an NPC. They could easily do that with a portal, right? I mean, I know it's doable. Pang, your thoughts?
Well, personally, I think that that regardless of how they do it, there's no real way to bring them from there's nothing currently that brings us from an open world instance like public Dragonstorm to private Dragonstorm. So it's, I don't know, it's like they need to still do something about that, because like you go into public Dragonstorm, you just press 1, or you can even AFK for like 99% of it and then just like channel the shard at the end and get max rewards.
That's
versus I've never actually tried it at all. So that's what I heard from before.
Well, they just fixed it though.
They just fixed it. Okay. Well, I guess now you have to press 1 in multiple places now instead. But in the private instance, you actually need to participate in the thing, and there's nothing there that kind of like makes anyone want to actually participate more. I feel.
Well,
maybe Dragonstorm is like the first step in doing that, but like from the public one to the private one, you still get the same rewards. So like, what's the need to go into the private instance one versus just semi AFKing in the public one?
I guess what I really like about stuff like Dragonstorm is that it is a familiar open world style encounter, like a meta event, but you can do it whenever you want. Right, so
True,
if this is the advantage of it, right? Because if you want to do, let's say, if you want to do chat Garen, right, you can't say, "Oh, hey guys, let's go do chat Garen." You're going to have to wait for the meta event to actually happen. But with something like Dragonstorm and Marionette, then you can go ahead and just say, "Hey, let's go, right? Let's get a Marionette group going. Let's get a Dragonstorm group going." And what I like about it is that it is this large scale content, because raids, raids are great, right? 10-man content, awesome, love it. Fractals, oh, great, cool. Strikes, cool. But it's 5 players, 10 players. Something like Dragons is 50 players. It is that massive MMO experience, and it's essentially, not exactly, but it's guild content, which I think is something that the game has been lacking, right? It's been lacking that more social, permanent group, like large community oriented content for a long time. We haven't had stuff like Tequatl added to the game. We haven't had Triple Trouble, right? That kind of stuff. There hasn't been, no guild missions, right, have been added to the game recently. So this would be a way to economize on this and do both at the same time, because you could take an event that is essentially an open world boss or meta event, and you can translate that into a guild mission at the same time. And again, it is that first step, because you could make the private version harder. You could make it have more rewards, right? So you'd have to think about your group comp a bit more, because you already see this, right? In a private Dragonstone with a squad, I'll organize my squad. So I say, hey, quickness here, right? Everyone give boons, right? And then people might ask, hey, why are you doing that? Well, you can now explain why you might do that, right? And obviously in the private instances, if it's done well, it's going to be way faster, because Dragonstorm in the public versions, as I understand it, kind of drags on a bit. Like, it takes a while to kill it. But if you do it in an organized group with a proper, with people playing good builds and good comp, it dies way faster. So even though, the rewards are the same, you get them probably twice as quickly, right? If you're doing an organized Dragonstorm, which essentially it's not exactly double the reward, but in terms of time efficiency, you can then move on to farming something else, right? And going somewhere else to go and continue, doing whatever you want to do. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty interesting idea, I think.
Yeah, I would actually. Yeah. This is something that we talked about either on a TeaTime or just a private session between me and you, TeaPot, at some point. But I would actually really, really love to see stuff like that. Even from the currently existing world bosses, like Torquato, or honestly, like any of this kind of content that requires open world to, on a timer to start, or you need to be there when it happens, because I feel like that if it's done well, it might actually become interesting to even the hardcore scene that only focuses on raids and stuff like that. Because I mean, for example, when we did the the dragon stand speedrun, right, that was really cool. A lot of good players got involved because it was really exciting, but we had to wait for the map to actually start. That was the most frustrating part, right?
And we had to do it really late to avoid any pugs joining as well.
Yeah, so
we did it midnight or past midnight actually because of that.
Having a private Torquato or a private version of one of the new EOD maps, I think that would be really cool. They can also do that maybe even stuff with Chuck Garant, even though I don't know, maybe some maps are better than others just because of how they work. And yeah, maybe the Chuck infusion has a 0.1 extra chance of dropping if you do it in a private instance, or something like that. Yeah, amazing. But yeah, I would really love to see stuff like this, because when Dragonstorm came out, so many dragon content in the game, I get confused. When it came out, I started doing it with the guild every single day, right? It was so cool. I just get the entire guild together. Let's go do it, right? It would be really cool to do a full guild activities like this, rather than just that's kind of what we're doing with I'm talking about our guild right now, but any guild can do this, right? The mega open world meta train or whatever, right? Imagine doing that, but in private instances with the entire guild, where loot is bigger. In a way, it's kind of like dungeon tours, but for 500 people, right? I think that's really cool if you can get everyone to be on the same page, play decent builds at least, right? So you can execute aggressive comps and stuff. I think that'd be amazing. Yeah, I really want to see that.
Yeah.
Also, are we thinking that it's not a map portal because it's too tiny?
Well, it doesn't look exactly like one. I think it looks exactly like a map portal.
Yeah, I mean,
it does.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt that we were excluding the option, but
it's probably like a private pass zone where you buy your pass from the gem store, and there's all the crafting options.
That's what they're hiding. There's something very special. Yeah. There's something very special behind there in the gem store.
The Kurzik crafting pass area, and you go there, and there's all the NPCs. It's totally what it is.
I mean,
and it's themed around Kurzik, German techno bunker, deep in East Berlin. All the NPCs are wearing fishnet tops, passing around drugs. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Passing around jade tech.
Yep.
Snorting powdered amber, right? Is that that's what's going on?
Hell yeah.
Powdered jade.
Yeah.
Powdered jade.
It's jade cut with amber for that.
They all
have
twist. Lime green eyeballs that glow.
Well, the reason I think it might be something more is because they said, oh yeah, it's something really special. It's something really cool. So that's why I thought it's not just a map. Because if it was just a map, then they'd just say, oh yeah, it's a really cool map. Which, hey, maybe it is, right? It's possible. But,
but the thing with ArenaNet is like their definition of really special could be so fucking whack. Like I hate to be negative, but they can be like, yeah, it's something really special, guys. And then when you get there, it's like this like little fishing hole where like, and like all it is like this like one fishing pond, and it's like this is where you're gonna hang out and fish with your friends. It's like, oh no.
I agree with that.
I hate how accurate that is.
And they build it up to like this huge deal.
But honestly,
Oh, man.
honestly, we needed a reality check, and like that's the best one we could have probably had.
Wow. Speaking of reality checks, let's go ahead and move on about Catalyst, because we can talk about that. We talked about that for a good amount of time. I think let's go ahead and move on to elite specializations, and specifically, of course, the Catalyst. So one thing that I did, it's really funny because at the start of my kind of viewing of the stream, I was like, ooh, better watch out for Catalyst, see if they change anything. I didn't pay attention whatsoever. I was too busy looking at Tengu and kind of making fun of how we're never getting Tengu in the game, by the way, or another playable race. How does it feel? Which is, I love this. I love ArenaNet so much. Like, just as an aside before I talk about Catalyst, I just love the fact that out of nowhere, like Ruby just like drops the bomb, and it like crushes the hopes and dreams of everyone who wanted a new race in the game, wanted to play Tengu, and Ruby just like annihilates them. Says, yeah, by the way, that's not a thing in Ender Dragons. Not like even like a tweet or an announcement. She just drops it like in a live stream and like bam, like just throws it in there as like a bonus meme. Just destroys everyone. The bird believers are completely shut down. Not even that shaman. Data mining, right? That Tengu rig can save you now, my friends. But yeah, it was pretty brutal. But
see, this is the difference between YouTube and Twitch chat. I know Twitch chat, they're anti-bird. But YouTube comments, they're gonna be like pro-bird. They're gonna be like, I want the birds. Come on. Like that's the difference in the two communities. It's gonna be the YouTube comments are gonna be pissed that there's no Tengu. They're gonna be on fire.
But what if they just release a tonic for it?
I think that's actually probable. Like I would go so far as to say that's likely.
Like a combat tonic for Tengu?
Yeah, a Tengu combat tonic.
Would people be offended by that? And be like, oh, they should have just had it as a playable race. This is whack, right?
No, I think that's the best way to go about it, because that way they don't have to, like, they redesign the skeleton or whatever so people can use it, but they don't have to add...
Worry about the skins, right?
Yeah, they don't have to add the armor skins, but you can have your Owl Tengu tonic, you can have your Eagle Tengu tonic, your Char hybrid Tengu tonic, which how do we make that exactly?
Like a griffin.
Yeah, like a griffin, exactly. You can have all of these different Tengu tonics, and there's a collection that unlocks the gold Tengu tonic or the Tengu infusion where feathers fly off of your character when you're not in the tonic. Like,
Brazil is straight up leaking right now.
No, they could totally do that. They could totally have a collection of Tengu tonics and give you a special infusion or something. That'd be badass. That'd be really cool.
Don't forget the best country being the Black Lion chests.
Yeah, definitely in the Black Lion chests. I love this.
I mean, they also experimented. Like they also experimented with henchmen. So I mean, there was a lot of experiments.
I mean, do you know that henchmen aren't being added to the game? Because we still have what?
Ruby hasn't hard smashed.
Yeah, she hasn't just crushed it. And aren't there still 2 more masteries to be unveiled at some point, like later on before the expansion? 2 more? Was it 2 more masteries? Right. That could easily be like some kind of henchman setup, right? I think we know one of them is like a Jade Tech thing, right? Well, we may have even seen again a little bit of insight into that. Like, not to go back to the map, I don't want to get baited again, but of course. They showed this, right? There were like jade batteries lying about the place in the map, which may very well actually be part of that new mastery. Of course, we didn't really see, exactly what's going on there, but a little bit of a teaser there on like what we might be.
Oh no! To use I just had a thought. Like that's how they're gonna make the open world casuals actually do damage. Like they're gonna click these batteries and get like 25 of every boon, and they'll last for like 30 minutes. So like. The one pressers will just run around the open world actually doing damage because they have every boon from their Jade Mastery.
I actually don't think they'll do it. I think they've learned from Icebrood Saga. I don't think they will actually add more stuff like that, like the Icebrood Saga special action hotkey, like Laser Beam and the EMP. I think that their intentions were to kind of help players understand break bars, but it kind of did the opposite. It's like, oh, there's a break bar, use my action key, right? Which is obviously not exactly what you want, what we want to achieve there, I think. But so I don't think they'll do that again. Like, I think it will be more like puzzle components, right? So you might need to like use a battery to like charge up a mechanism that does something, or some kind of maybe you can like go into a golem, right? And I have like a jade golem to like pick up a giant rock or something like that, and that uncovers a gateway. So I think they will try to avoid power creep in masteries this time, because they've already had a lot of that in previous content, Icebrood Saga and the expansions. They'll probably look at more interesting puzzle features that they can add to this map and maybe even future maps there in the future, because they want to get like bang for the buck, right? They want to make sure that the masteries stay relevant, and they're already building up this idea that the Canthan culture is super different, which is really cool, right? You have the different waypoints, right? They've got their own setup, right? They've got a completely, we're a bunch of losers. We've got blue waypoints. These guys have got green waypoints. It's even better. And there's a lot of really cool stuff there, I think, that they can explore with the ways that, things are going to operate very, very differently over there. And there'll be a lot for us to learn as a bunch of random plebs. And yes, guys, Brazil is here. He's simply in the background. Like, yeah, he may activate at any time, right? He's ready to go. But Catalyst, yes. So
I'm pumped. I'm happy for this.
Well, it is a really good sign. So, Mela is our Ellie main, so he can give us the juice here. And of course, we haven't seen all of the changes. We haven't seen if they've changed any of the traits, any of the utility skills just yet. We only
saw one attunement.
It was definitely the streamers were fire attunement enjoyers. Let's put it like that. In that, and also 1 HP enjoyers. Love me some dev hacks, guys. Love to see it. But regardless of that, the catalyst mechanic has now been changed a bit. So instead of draining all of your energy, if you want to cancel your orb, the way it works now with the Jade Sphere is you can just cast it out, and it uses a portion of your energy, lasts for 5 seconds, I think, was about how long it lasts. And it seems that you can actually immediately recast it afterwards, and it just keeps draining your energy, but you don't lose it after, you finish the channel. And it's a much shorter cooldown on using the sphere as well, so you can reposition it much more. I'm almost surprised they didn't go for almost like a Ventari tablet approach, right? So you could move it around, have your sphere fly all over the place. It's that would be kind of cool. Like imagine that, like a moving combo field that can follow you around, and you have to micromanage it there by double tapping the hotkey or something like that. But certainly an improvement, I think, overall. We haven't seen stuff like the numbers, bug fixes, and trait changes. But I think, I want to go to Mela on this, assuming that the traits stay vaguely the same, I think the boon application here should be much more convenient and much more powerful, I'd say, actually, right?
Well, okay, how did they work beforehand? Could you get energy while the sphere was on the ground?
I don't think so, no. Because it was just raining.
Now it's kind of like they didn't change that, and I'm assuming they also made it so you can maybe only get energy per one target you hit, because otherwise you would have too much energy like this. I feel like you would never run out of it, because you have so many AoEs on the ground that even if you're hitting only one guy, you basically have, I don't know, in a weird way of describing it, it's like you never have a cooldown on it. Never have a cooldown on it, even though it does actually have a cooldown. So I think that's a little bit weird. They might have changed some stuff about getting energy. The boon application, we didn't see if it stays the same once you change, but I'm assuming that it will stay the same, because that's usually how Ellie goes. You can cast Firestorm, and then you change attunement that it doesn't cast in a different attunement. So boon application it should be better. You might actually be able to give more boons at once without having to camp the attunement, which was the biggest issue that everyone was having when we were discussing it the first time. So you can, for example, place a air field, which gives quickness, and then you can place fire one and give might. at the same time, I guess, because alacrity is relevant as well. So yeah, I think boon application is going to be better. But honestly, besides that, we didn't really see much else. So the rest is kind of like assumptions. But I do like that because, yeah, I mean, there is, Catalyst had many more problems, but I like to see the fact that they're addressing this, which probably means they're addressing also the other specs, right?
Exactly. That's the key point here. And this was also confirmed by CMC during the extra live stream, right? Like CMC had a beautiful quip, right? I think someone asked him like, "Oh, are you guys going to be reworking all of them?" And well, I don't know what exactly did he say. He was like, "Yeah, of course, right? Like, yeah, you know, like, of course we're doing that, right? And we're going to be changing all of them." So I think every single elite specialization with the expansion is going to get a lot of nudges in the next patch, right? Which will be towards the end of November here. So get hyped for that. Yeah, should be really cool to see what they've done. There'll be a lot of bug fixes, a lot of number tunes, and I wouldn't be surprised actually if they. Okay, hear me. Here's my theory. I think they're going to make all the ones that didn't go down very well like mega OP, right? So next patch, Willbender, 100k DPS.
Only?
Okay.
You know, it's just going to destroy, right? It's going to annihilate. Catalyst applies every boon in the game, right? They've made it so that every pulse of the Jade Sphere casts Signet of Inspiration on the entire map, okay? Everyone in the map gets affected by it.
Yes.
Right? They're just going to unload. Because I think it is better to have things come out overpowered so people at least try them, right? And then just tone it down afterwards, right? Because
Amen.
In its current state, would anyone even play Willbender? No. Okay, like no, people are just gonna like delete their Guardians or keep playing Firebrand, right? You know, it's not good, right? You know, you need to have things like really, really juicy. I think it's why they have stuff like Spectre and maybe even Blade Sworn the way it is, because I mean, Blade Sworn is interesting, but people will definitely play it. They'll definitely go for it. But
Blade
yeah,
Sworn's sweet.
it is
I
indeed.
do think they will change the thing where when you use your Dragon Slash and you go back to your normal gun blade kit, that it counts as a weapon swap. I think they will definitely change that because if
intelligence.
If you guys aren't aware, the intelligence sigil means you crit guaranteed for the next 3 seconds. So basically your Dragon Slash crits even if you have no precision, and then you spam your attacks to get your flow back, all of which crit, and then you start channeling again. And by the time that's up, the ICD on the intelligence sigil is up. So you always crit even with no precision whatsoever in the build. Yes. So you can run Valkyrie's gear or whatever, the power, vitality, ferocity set. So you could have like full DPS warrior with like 35k HP. Pretty good.
It's a good build. And you know what you're on that? Rune of the Worm. Let's get Brazil's like old Valkyrie Reaper build back here. Rune of the Worm. Yeah. Hey, Pang, I think you wanted to kind of jump in there. Give us the juice. Us,
no,
Pang.
not really. I actually have paid very little attention to all the new elite specs, to be honest.
So then give us hot takes.
God,
give us unresearched hot takes.
Yeah. Give us
unresearched hot take.
Give me like low information. I want a low information take right now. That's what I want to see.
Pang hates the game and the expansion.
That is very true, actually.
What the fuck?
No, I don't. No, I don't. You just wanted a hot take, so there you go. Yes, I am denying the hype. No, actually, no. It's just, I don't know. It just didn't really seem very enticing to me to play any of the new elite specs yet. At least, I'm for sure gonna try them out on the next beta, for sure. But yeah, wow. I just haven't bothered. Been doing too many other things to pay attention. And yeah, don't bother looking at my chair. Whoever's commenting on that.
I sort of agree with Pang.
Which elite spec looks the coolest to me? Let's see. The only one that I actually played was Harbinger, and very little of Spectre. So I guess I would have to say Harbinger. It is for me the coolest. Well, because I play Necro.
What was the reasoning behind why do you not find them enticing to play? Was there anything specific about them? Are they just not as OP as Scourge?
No, well, I mean, it's like, to me, they didn't really seem like they were that game changing. Like they didn't like, they're not like bringing like something that's completely different, like Chronomancer or Druid, to Mesmer and Ranger. So like, you know, like Catalyst just feels like it just does more DPS. What Bladesworn just does more DPS. What else? Untamed just seems, according to everyone, it seems kind of broken. No, I'm not an HOT main, but I just haven't bothered looking at the elite specs yet all that much.
I sort of agree. Like I barely played any of them just because it just felt like a waste of time to invest time into them. Because one, I don't think that what they looked like in that first beta is what they're going to look like at release. So like spending like hours like learning the intricacies of something that's going to change felt really bad, and like it was just like temporary. So I don't know. I just wasn't put into the mindset where I wanted to like sit there and play them for hours and hours and hours.
Which elite specs do we think need the most work in terms of
Harbinger.
design? Not balance, by the way. I'm not talking
Harbinger.
about balance here. Like numbers are going to go up, numbers are going to come down. That will be after the expansion too, right? Like, so we don't care about that. In terms of the design, which ones need the biggest reshuffle before this final beta?
Harbinger.
Okay,
I say Willbender.
Willbender. Okay. Mela.
It's my rationale is that it's too similar to Dragon Hunter. It doesn't, like, there is no confusing Bladesworn for any other warrior spec. Like, even if they fill similar roles, it feels totally different than any warrior spec. So it has its own unique vibe. Whereas Willbender is just like a Papella like Dragon Hunter. It's like a Dragon Hunter with like bizarre ICDs and like aftercasts that make no sense. Like it feels bad.
Okay. What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, like what Peng and Nike said is not something I disagree with at all. Actually, like none of these specs really bring anything that is like, you know, like before Druid was added to the game, some groups used to take like base support guard in like dungeons and fractals, like healing base guard, right? And that was like you know, wall of reflection in dungeons back then was a lot more useful, and that was kind of like the support healer thing, whenever you run it, right? And then Druid was added to the game, and then now they are adding Spectre, right? Which is supposed to be in like a very weird way. I don't know. I'm trying to get somewhere at some point in this in what I'm saying right now, but if they added single target Druid in HOT and then they added like AoE Druid and End of Dragons, it would have made more sense, right? Because now they, like Peng said, you know, they didn't add Chrono to the game, they didn't add Druid to the game, so they basically didn't add anything to the game, because everything that they have added is, you know, in the case of Spectre, it's very unique with this new single target thing, but that's the problem, right? It's not AoE, which makes it unique, but it doesn't make it, you know, oh my god, so cool, so new. It just does damage, or it does stuff, right? Quickness or whatever, or barrier, rests people. It's basically like a single target heal Scourge. And yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Classes that I think will need the biggest reshuffle. I'm not a fan of Virtuoso. I know a lot of people like Virtuoso because I mean, you know, the Chrono enjoyers. It's basically power Chrono, but without the clones. So grinding records is going to be nice for people that have bad PCs. They can actually see, you know, boss attacks and stuff. Untamed, honestly, I don't want to even talk about it. Whatever. Willbender. I do think Willbender needs some changes. It's too similar to DH. It's literally the same benchmark as DH. And it doesn't even use the offense spec weapon. It just uses what I've used before, which is Focus, I believe. It's just DH but faster. Like, I don't know. It's a bit weird.
It's really not, though. It's not even close to that. Like, I don't understand why
mean?
you say it's just DH but faster. Because as a proud Guardian main myself, with like 12,000 hours just on Guardian, that doesn't even remotely seem accurate. And I've heard 2 people say it just today.
Well, I think it's because they do the same DPS, they use the same weapons, and the rotation is almost identical.
Yeah.
So that's where the similarity comes in.
And it's not even easier to solo stuff than Firebrand, so it doesn't
Yeah,
even
but
feel that role.
the movement and routing and all of that stuff is different. Like, DH is not very mobile.
That's not true.
You have a big jump, you have your intervention skills, you have your sword blink, but you don't have swiftness, and you just kind of run around after all that stuff is used.
Well, you do have swiftness. Like, DH is pretty fast. I actually very much disagree with that. I think anyone that speed runs or does like dungeon solos would disagree with you on that as well.
Well, that's what I do, though.
Well,
there are different parts in your routes where you cannot use DH mobility at all. Like, if areas are very compressed and tight, then yeah, you can just blink onto mobs, but you're going to aggro them with symbols. You're going to aggro them by hitting them. You're going to aggro them and you're going to be in combat. You can't put down your staff symbol outside of very particular areas where you get swiftness and you're not in it for long. And you can use retreat, that's fine. It has ammo now, so it's different than it was back in ye old dungeon days. But you're absolutely just delusional if you think that they play similarly.
Oh my god.
Like, you should be taking medication.
I mean, from a raid perspective, they have the literal exact same rotation on the golem, like down to like the buttons are almost identical.
Yeah, but the flavor is completely different. That's like saying that spinach pizza and pepperoni pizza are the same because they're both pizza. You eat them the same way. You pick them up and you put them in your mouth, and they both have cheese and crust.
It kind of is like you wouldn't eat spinach pizza for dinner one night and then pepperoni the next night and feel like you had 2 different meals. You had pizza both nights. Like, it's pizza.
Okay, this is the thing.
It's Guardian. Like, it's still the blue class.
Why are we talking about pizza now? What the fuck happened?
Because I'm making a comparison because you're both crazy. You're both out of your mind.
Okay, I might be out of my mind, but here's the thing. Remember when I said that it's literally DH but faster? Like, you have agreed with me during the entirety of this. Like, Sword 2 Blink, you can place it without getting in combat. That's actually not true. You just need to.
Yeah, you can. You can use it before and it just teleports and puts a symbol down.
Like, that's just not true. Like, it is DH but just faster. That's what you've been saying the entire time. We agree on this.
Yeah, but I think you're wrong.
Well, okay, let me.
Oh, it's DH but slower. What part is it wrong?
It's just a Guardian spec that's kind of clunky and it's cool, but it's clunky as shit.
Okay,
like all of the movement animations to stop you or lock you in place, and it's weird. The spin has a pause at the beginning and then a pause at the end whenever you stop. If they polished it, it would just be a completely different class. And I promise you, if you were talking to anyone that doesn't just stack in a hole on top of a tag and press buttons on a raid boss, they would tell you that they're completely different classes. From a casual approach, they're completely different classes. They do completely different things. You don't have a giant ass shield that blocks in front of you and in front of your whole team on Willbender. You have like 5 seconds of no death, which effectively that's what the shield is. But you're thinking about it in terms of literally a dead game mode that no one plays.
But I am not.
And another dead game mode that no one plays.
Well, I am not. Okay.
You are. You literally are. You're thinking about it in terms of 2 dead game modes.
TeaTime wants to stop this. I know.
Well, I want to break.
This is just wrong. Like, I'm not thinking about from a dead gamer perspective. I don't just raid in this game. I'm like one of the the 5 people in the back of the room that don't just do raids.
You're a variety streamer. That's right.
Yeah, I'm a variety streamer. I play Minecraft all the time. But like, here's the thing. Like, the big shield that blocks on DH for the entire team, that skill is broken. Like, you can't even put it in the conversation. It doesn't work. It never did. That skill is never going to get fixed. It doesn't block anything. Right? I agree with you. It's clunky or whatever. Nike loves this word, by the way, so keep saying it.
Clunk?
It's very clunky. Like, he loves the word clunky for whenever people are
I don't like that word, no.
The animations, they do lock you for no reason. It's weird. The F1, when you don't have a target, it doesn't lock you. When you do, you fall asleep and it locks you and it kills you all the time. I agree with this. I don't disagree with this at all. but they do play similarly, even in solo content.
But I don't understand. Like, is that a bad thing? Like, even if I was to,
I think
yield
it's a
that,
bad thing.
even if
for
I
an
was to
elite
yield that
spec.
point,
Yeah,
which I'm not.
They are. It is a bad thing because it's supposed to be completely different because it's a new way of playing a
Well,
spec.
hang
but they are
on.
the same. One is just faster.
Okay,
Let's let Teapot go.
I want to get into
Yeah,
the mix
yeah.
here because I think look, we can argue about like, you know, how quickly like you can fucking solo Lupicus on this, right? On a game mode that most people have forgotten about completely, right? On these two specs. I think the thing about Worldbender is that, you know, if you look at it from a PvE perspective, sure, right? They definitely do. In modern Guild Wars 2 PvE, they do tend to play out very similarly. I think it's more that just none of the content in PvE that's modern really takes advantage of what Willbender can do. Like in PvP, for example, right? Willbender is going to play out very differently, right? From say Dragon Hunter or Firebrand. Like, I mean, look, what other spec in the game right now simply goes to its destination and feeds, right? Immediately. Nothing else in the game does that, right? It's the fastest way to int, like currently in Guild Wars 2 PvP, which is impressive stuff. That's unique. That brings something new to the table. But when it actually gets buffed up a little bit and reworked, you know, the animation after cast stuff gets adjusted, right? And some balancing problems, Willbender is going to be very different. It's going to be Thief but blue with no stealth, and it has Guardian abilities and like these kind of crazy like stances on the F1 abilities. It actually could be really different, but yeah, like right now it's just not good. And obviously in PvE it doesn't do much, doesn't really bring anything new to the table. But as a broad point, I kind of almost have to give ArenaNet a little bit of leeway here because Mela's right. Here they introduced a huge amount of design space, right? When they did the first two expansions, particularly Heart of Thorns. Like, honestly, the difference between Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire is probably less than the difference between Core and HOT, right? Like, HOT was like a huge broadening, right? Before, as Mela said, if you wanted to heal in the core game, you were playing the immovable object by Nemesis there, the full cleric's guardian, the anchor guardian, I believe, as it was sometimes referred to, right, in dungeons. But then you added druid to the game. Then you had healing tempest added to the game. You had this concept of permanent boons, permanent quickness. You had tank, right? Chrono tank, right? Was added to the game. Minstrel chrono tank, and this kind of filled out all of the missing roles. Like, what's missing in Guild Wars 2? Like, so this is why I think you have to say that, yeah, obviously it's going to seem a little bit like, oh, it's kind of like it's what we already have, but a little bit different. That's inevitable given the fact that what could they actually add, right? In terms of extra, that this is like nothing else we've ever seen before. I'll tell you what, Spectre, it's exactly what they did, right? Spectre is like nothing else in the game, which is why I think a lot of players found it really exciting, because it is, whoa, what's this, right? You're targeting allies with abilities. They can extend out, for example. Soon, maybe they'll make it so you can like splash allies with your water staff on Tempest, right? Or Ellie, rather, right? You might be able to staff auto people to heal them on Druid easily. I could definitely see that happening, right? So they've added this new technology, this new type of content. So I don't think it's necessarily bad that these things kind of do the same thing, because the alternative is just more power creep, and I don't think we want any more of that, right? Except Blade Sword.
Yeah, I guess we're waiting. This would be so much easier if the game would just get like a nuke balance patch. We're all good.
This should happen.
Here's another hot take. I would have been completely fine without no new elite specs if they give us more content in the game to play.
Wrong.
Ooh! Oh my god!
Didn't they try that with Icebrood Saga?
Yeah, no, but that wasn't originally like an expansion content. That was just like
no, it was
what they said. That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said.
Oh, it's true. You're right.
Yeah,
but then it didn't end up being like that, though.
Right.
Like, you notice how like they have like how popular elite specs are is like all of their live streams are like, today we're going to show off the skiff on the live stream, and everyone's like, get past this skiff bullshit and show us the elite spec picture at the end for 2 seconds. Like that's all anyone cares about. Like no one cares about the content. They only care about the elite spec. it's like that's just what the community wants.
Well, that's because
I
that's
agree.
what we're always expecting from new expansions is new elite specs, right? But what if they told us, oh, there's going to be no new elite specs, but here we have like, actually like 6 strikes per year for the next like 10 years, for instance.
Yeah,
I mean,
60
it's
strikes.
an interesting proposition, but I don't think the devs that design the elite specs have anything to do with designing strikes. So I mean, it's not that wasn't our dichotomy that we're faced with.
That's true.
What if they put those devs onto rebalancing other ones, like Druid? Rebalance Druid, normalizing all of the buffs. That was something that Mela and I think, actually agreed on. I think we had, either I stole his thought or we had the same thought. I can't remember.
Well, you know why
Yeah.
Spectre wasn't popular?
Well, because it's hard to play. It's not popular,
Yeah, it's hard to
but
play. And why is it hard to play? I think YouTube commenters are going to find my analysis interesting.
Holy shit. Dude, Nike,
it's hard to play
he's baiting
because
he's actually doing it on purpose now.
If you're a skill clicker, you can't play Spectre. It's impossible to play Spectre if you're a skill clicker because you can't simultaneously click the party member you want to heal and click the heal skill. It's too much. They can't handle it. So obviously they hate it. They hate the spec.
You are underestimating how fast people can move their mouse and click.
Yeah, but it's one thing if you're like moving the mouse from like the bottom of your skill bar, like to like a couple pixels above the skill bar, having to go all the way up to the top left of the screen to the party UI. And go all the way back down to your number 8 skill. Oh, that's
okay.
Tough.
Look,
you can wait. You can put the mini map at the top of the screen. Can't you put the squad at the bottom, or can you not do that?
Yeah, you can.
Well, yeah. See, Nike defeated.
But also,
you're delusional and wrong.
As if people that skill click know how to redo their UI. Come on.
Well, they've probably done it on accident because they probably just accidentally clicked on something while dragging the mouse.
Holy shit!
This is my.
See, I'm gonna. If Goku can one finger solo Lupicus, I can speed clear every raid skill clicking on Spectre. Teapot, if we do that charity thing that you were talking about with the individual that plays with a disability and can only use one hand, I am skill clicking Spectre the entire time.
Nice.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove Nike wrong.
It is actually confirmed. There it is.
It's not all about onion farming in Queens.
I mean, maybe you can do it, but that doesn't mean you'll be good at it.
I'll be just as good at it as you are, you noob.
Ooh.
You play full keybind Spectre, and I'll be better than you skill clicking.
Okay.
And you know what? The YouTube comments are going to back me up on this because they hate you more than they hate me.
That's true.
Wow. And that was okay. So I'll tell you what, like, what a great introduction by Pang into kind of the main topic of discussion today, which is, of course, the future of the game and where the game might be going. And I think that's a really good place to start. And I think it naturally segues from our previous discussion. What does ArenaNet do in the future with the game in terms of the skill design? What are they going to actually do? Because Pang brings up a good point, right? Content is really important. Playing through the same boss with a new elite spec is fun, right? But it would be really good to get loads of extra new content. I think it's true that the same devs are probably not responsible for that, right? Skill devs aren't necessarily working on content, but they could potentially still do stuff like rebalancing old trait lines, right? Like maybe adding new utility skill stuff like that. There are some things they can do, but where do we think this is going, right? So Ender Dragons comes out. That's our 4th set of specs, right? We have Core, HOT, Path of Fire, and EOD now. Do you think they actually have room for another layer on top of that in X-Pack number 5? Can we actually get any more elite specializations? Because I don't know about that, to be honest. As we talked about this earlier, right? Mela brought this up and said, yeah, we've already added loads of, we've got barrier, right? We've got shields, we've got, now we have allied targeting, right? We have healers, right? We have tanks, we have super speed, right? We have all these different unique effects. Can we actually fit any more in a way that will be compelling onto 9 professions? It's a really, really difficult question, I think. I'm not sure. Can they actually add new elite specializations to the game?
I don't think so.
I mean, they could. I don't know that they will. I mean, they could just do another round. Okay, here's a DPS spec with a slightly different play style than the old ones. They could do that. I think like if they wanted to be more adventurous, that there's like dual classing and
Yes.
like different weapons that they could give that would like change things around. They could even redesign the entire like trait system and make it a bit more modular, like it used to be, but even more free. I don't know. They could do a lot that would shake things up, but I don't know. Elite specs it's really easy to sell that as like an expansion feature because everyone knows what it is. Everyone's sort of like into it. Whereas if you're like, everyone gets a new weapon, like people from outside the game might not like understand how important that is or how game changing it is.
Yeah, I guess what I'm
But
curious
dual
about-
classing is that level, I think.
Oh my
to where
god,
it
dude!
would-
Dual. Listen, how Urson way do you want this game to go, Nike? Holy shit! Like that would be
all the way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
the
we're
way.
almost there. We're almost to Urson way.
Yeah.
Bladesworn in its unnerfed state is essentially Urson way.
Oh my
I
goodness.
think I could totally see them doing that. You give up the elite spec spot for a one trait line from another class. I totally think they could pull that off because eventually, even now, classes share so many skill types, stances and wells and whatever. You could totally do that. You could play a Necromesmer and
Blink
you could give
Reaper.
alacrity and quickness. You could have Signet of Inspiration on Necromancer. How cool would that be?
It might just be utility. You might just get utility skills from the base class.
Utility
of the
skills
other
in one
spec.
trait line, I think. I think they could do that.
The problem with trait line is like too many things. It's like, well, when you're in fire attunement, get this. It's like, well, what? I'm a warrior. I don't have fire attunement. It's just like a dead trait.
Not with that attitude.
I can't be the only one that finds this conversation unbelievably scary when it comes to balance.
No, balance. We don't have balance
This is
in
what-
this game, so it's fine.
So there's a thing in Guild Wars 1 called Urson Way, which was like this skill. It was an elite skill that every class could have that like doubled your HP, tripled your damage, and you could just perma have it up. So until they nerfed it, basically the meta in PvE was you got 8 players with the Urson Way skill, and you just zerged around every endgame instance and killed everything with no effort whatsoever.
So just like PoE.
Yeah, except so face roll that you can't even believe it. It'd be like as good as Lich is on Necro in PvP. It was like that, but perma up, and probably better than that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
But
Like-
okay, so the concerns I have, as someone wants to go in first, but like when it comes to new expansion, I think they should not actually give new specs. I think adding new weapons is probably one of the easiest things they can do, especially because, you know, people were expecting NG to get main and offend, and well, no. It's only Mace main end, so NG is very sad right now. Warrior is very happy because it's basically every weapon in the game. I think that adding, well, okay, so they would have to balance the current game first, then add EOD specs, then balance the entire game with EOD around it, and then maybe I would think that adding new specs in a new expansion is, you know, thinkable. But as of right now, and as the game has been for like the past 2 years or so, because also they're developing the expansion, I think that adding new specs in a new expansion is actually just, it's just, they should not do that. They should never do that. Like adding weapons, adding maybe you can steal a trait line from another class, like dual classing or whatever, or I don't know, add a third weapon swap. They can do like a lot of crazy stuff. But I think that doing any of these things is just going to make the game even more complicated. Or, you know, adding, oh yeah, we're adding a new boon. Oh yeah, we're adding a new condition. Oh, we're adding barrier, but it's, I don't know, it's purple instead of yellowish. Or whatever. I think adding all of these new things and new expansion all the time, it sounds really cool and it sells and, you know, people are excited, but the game is already hard enough as it is. I don't think we need any of this stuff. I don't know, like it's cool, but I really don't want it because then I'm just gonna be sad when people can't play the game even more. Because I don't know.
Yeah, the vanilla game will be like even that much more different from like what you are at the end game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just find it weird. I think it will be weird. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that brings up a really good point. Like the more of the stuff you add, and to an extent, even the more elite specializations you add, it makes the game harder to get into, right? Because let's suppose you're a new player in PvP, right? You now have to potentially learn how to play against every core spec, every HOT spec, every path of fire spec, and every EOD spec, right? When you're learning the game, you're like, whoa, what the fuck just killed me, right? Oh, a thief killed me, like dagger pistol Daredevil. Okay, right, I can kind of learn to play against Daredevil. Next game, it's Dead-Eyed, right? Ooh, you uninstall the game, right? After that, you're done, right? You come back after a month, you've recovered from getting Dead-Eyed to death. You're like, yes, boom, I'm in. Then Spectre, then just annihilates. You're like, oh, well, okay, like another version of
Yeah, you just lost to Renji. Time to uninstall again.
You're losing to perma-stealth Deadeye, but really it's Miaz Rifle Warrior in the air.
That will also be a significant deterrent, I would say, to playing PvP. But yeah, for sure, right? I think that increasing complexity is scary, right? Like adding more mechanics is just not ideal. But to me, this really begs the question, okay? This begs the question to me is what, like if, okay, like, and actually chat, wake up. I need you guys to activate it. Let's suppose the next expansion, right? Guild Wars 2, codename Big Plenga, right? Has no elite specializations. How do we actually feel about that, right? Like, do you think that actually kills the hype, right? Because in a way, here's the problem. They've set expectations. ArenaNet have set expectations hard, right? Like every single time you're getting these maps, you're getting these masteries, right? You're getting, these new mechanics like a mount gliding, like siege turtle fishing, whatever, right? But you almost can't keep doing that, right? Like over time, right? You're gonna design creep out your game because Guild Wars 2 never resets. Like with games like WoW, in a way you can get away with, now we've got legendary, we've got artifact weapons, now we've got Heart of Azeroth, now we've got this, now we've got like Covenants in Shadowlands, right? Because everything resets every single time, right? Every time there's a WoW expansion, everything is irrelevant before that. Which kind of sucks, by the way, because of, it's basically borrowed power, right? Like you have to grind this. Oh, now it doesn't do anything anymore, right? Grind that next thing. That's a problem in and of itself. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that problem. But the problem that you have with Guild Wars 2 is that you keep layering on more and more and more and more and more, right? And eventually it kind of collapses under its own weight. Complexity is a big problem. New players already have a tough time getting into Guild Wars 2 because there's so much going on and so much content that just gets like blasted at you across all 3 game modes, by the way, at the same time. Do you want to add more to that? I think it's super difficult to actually keep doing this. Like if they add more expansions, or do you think they need to take a new approach? Because this is kind of what, I was talking about this on the stream. This is where it brings me to the idea, what if they don't do any more expansions and they do something else instead, right? What if they go to more of like, almost like an ESO model, right? Where they like release like content drops every year that you buy, but it's not, it's not the same. It's like a mini expansion almost, right? As opposed to like a full regular Guild Wars 2. Say, right, no, expansions, it's not really going to work anymore. We have to change our model, change the way the business works, change the way we actually develop content, more like, hey, Icebrood Saga guys, right? Ooh. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I think ArenaNet's in there is a problem here with this, and I think Nike, you went in there, so I want to get Nike in here about the hype about the elite specs and the expansions. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think I wouldn't have paid very much for the Icebrood Saga if they released it all as one drop. I would have been like, I don't know, man. This is maybe worth like $15 maximum, $10 maybe. Like it would not have been enough. It would have to be like insanely high quality, and I don't know. It would have to have something for everybody. Like that's the thing about elite specs is they are content for everyone. No matter what game mode you play, they are new content. So if you get rid of that, you then have to find something that excites World v World players about buying the expansion, and then PvPers, and and endgame PvEers. Like they're not just going to buy 4 Icebrood Saga chapters bundled together in one package. Like that's just not enough to sell it. That only would work with like the casuals, which may be enough. Who knows for ArenaNet's business model? But
I have 3 things.
Why would a World Reworlder buy the Icebrood Saga like as if it was a bundle?
So
I
think.
Sorry.
Yeah, Mela, then Pang. Mela, then Pang. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think if it will kill the hype, it kind of depends on more factors. For example, we have waited for a new expansion for so long, and we were really hyped. New specs. We didn't know yet, but it's kind of obvious that we got new specs because that's usually what they do with new expansions, or what they did when the passing Guild Wars 2 anyway. So yeah, I mean, imagine if this expansion didn't have any new specs, it would be like, like what are we doing? Right? What did we wait so long for? No raids, no new specs, like, no Tango playable race. I'm so mad right now, right? But if it was a year after Path of Fire, I feel like people would not have cared that much about not getting new specs because they didn't really feel like, I played so much Firebrand, I'm so sick and tired of it. I played so much Scourge, I love it, I'm so sick and tired of it, right? So I think if they release a new expansion like the day after EOD, no one's gonna be like, expect a new specs, bummer, I'm not buying it. I mean, they might not buy it anyway, but it also depends on if there is new stuff to play the new specs in. Example, some people that I know that have played, endgame PvE for so long are actually not buying AOD because, these new specs do so much damage, they're so cool, but what am I going to play them? There is no endgame content because, people still think the strikes are going to be complete garbage, even though I heavily disagree with that. But if there is nothing to play new specs in, like, why would you buy them? Why would you even make them? PvP and 1v World, yeah, that's one thing, but you're still losing like a big part of the player base. And another thing that we're kind of forgetting about is that we don't need a new expansion to get content. This is kind of how we got used to it in the past, I don't even know how long, like 2 years. Yeah, we got DRMs, yeah, we got strikes, yeah, we got a new fractal, but it's not as much as we would have liked to. So we had not a lot of content, no new specs for such a long time. So yeah, we were kind of getting nothing for so long that getting something new, like new specs and strikes or whatever, it's really hype. But if we were getting a lot of content, now we got no new content, a new expansion, because we're still getting it, like, it wouldn't matter that much. I think the two things are very much related. So I think it a bit depends. I think another thing they could do is maybe add 3 new classes, another heavy, another medium, another light, which is a lot. It's an insanity amount of work with the personal story, the animations, the voice dialogues, and blah blah, all things that people don't even think, even I don't think about all the time, right? Because then those need like 3 more specs on top of just the core trait lines and stuff.
Maybe they wouldn't need it. They might not need that, right? You could have, we're not going to introduce like a, you'd have a core spec and an elite, but you wouldn't need necessarily to have a spec for each expansion, right?
I mean, it would be baseline because the expansions are already out, but they need to design more trait lines, right? Well, yeah, I guess. Well, I guess they couldn't. That's what you mean. Like they could not do that. Do less trait lines.
Well, you don't have the trait lines, but you wouldn't need like a spec for each expansion. If you do next X pack, you bring out a new class. You could honestly just have the elite. That's basically what Herald was. Let's not muss about right? That's basically what Herald was. Base rev. What the fuck is base rev, dude? Okay, yeah, Herald. Like Herald was like actually just it was like useless. They've obviously buffed it since then, but they could even go in that direction because I think new class would be big hype, right? That would be a way to hype up the game.
And also add new playable race. They didn't do it this time. They can do it next time. Right?
Yeah. Honestly, I know that I was memeing about the Tengu, but it would actually be. I think it would be a big draw to maybe players who haven't played the game. Like, ooh, new race, right? That's kind of fun, right? I think.
I think they would half-ass it if they did.
Wait, really?
It would be like blue. It would be like blue human, and it would use all the same human armors and all this.
No. I don't think
it's
so.
an expansion feature, so they wouldn't do that. I don't think.
I think the only reason they didn't look, okay, I'm gonna trigger the bird lovers here. In fact, I would put money on this. The only reason they didn't add Tengu was because they probably didn't think they could do it quite how they wanted. ArenaNet is a lot of things, and they're not a perfect company, but the one thing that they don't do is half-ass things, right? They go hard, right?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I mean, fishing looks kind of
You're gonna say
half-assed.
it? Yeah, wait.
Yeah, fishing a little
Fishing looks
half-assed.
quarter-assed. It doesn't
well,
even look
right, okay,
half-assed.
right. Mela, finish your
Chips
thought there
look
before
quarter-assed.
we start going berserk again, right? Okay, yeah. When we start going berserk, Mela finished. Then I want to hear from Pang as well. I mean, Pang into the mix. I want to mix him in there, right? I want to start going crazy. Right, let's go.
Yeah. So I think it depends. If we get, if we don't get new specs, it's fine. If we would have to play the new specs in the old content, like, do we really care that much? Like, I feel like it's less relevant in a way, right? And so is the other way around. I also don't think we need an expansion to get new content, because we didn't get new content for so long. Now we finally have an expansion. We're getting something. But even like the Living World stuff, we don't need an expansion for that. Or, a new raid, we don't need an expansion for that. They can do kind of whatever they want between expansions. We don't necessarily need a new expansion, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think they should. If they do want to do that, they should probably, in my opinion, do a new playable race or new classes. Maybe make one new class that can be all 3 armor weights or something weird like that. If they don't want to do like 3 different ones, I don't really know, right? But yeah, also, what could we actually get in a new expansion? That's like, what do you guys think we could realistically get if we only got nothing about content? Instead of getting 1 spec per class, what else could we actually get in the game as an expansion feature instead of the elite specs?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And to kind of talk to the point you were saying there about we don't need an expansion. I guess what I was getting at is that ArenaNet needs to sell stuff, right? They don't sell living story.
Yeah.
Right. And what I mean is that if they aren't selling expansions, or rather, if they're going to sell stuff, does that work without elite specializations? Because again, look at the quarterly reports. You can see this right now on the Reddit, guys. After EOD got announced, the quarterly earnings went up because people were like, oh yeah, hype, X-Pack, let's fucking go. Elite specs, Cantha, weeaboos, right? Oh, I love anime. That's getting clipped. Okay, oh yeah, oh, cat girls, oh yeah, like turtles, oh, fishing. People were going crazy about this stuff. So people got excited about the game again. Can they do that and actually, generate revenue without elite spec? And what can they do to sell that? Like, I think we brought up some good ones there, honestly. We kind of answered our own question there. New race, definitely doable, I think. New class, I think, is actually pretty doable. I feel like adding 1 new class is less destructive than 9 specs, right? I feel like 9 specs is way more of a clusterfuck than 1 new class, right? Maybe. The case is, can they come up with a new design, I guess. But
I think the work is about the same, but it is less destructive, I think, yeah. Those are easier to manage, balance, future, long-term balance and stuff like that. But also, actually, like, speaking of selling stuff, and then, we'll go back to Pang. I'm like stalling Pang so hard.
Yeah, Pang's he's unlocked, dude.
Stuff that you could sell. I wonder if we kind of talked about this a little bit because, Naki was so mad about the Bladesworn Greatsword. But I wonder if they would actually consider going full microtransactions and making skins for the Jade Golem on like Mechanist, or making skins for like a Hall of Forge on Engie, or skins for the Greatsword on Bladesworn, or just skill for like a profession stuff, and add them into the gem store, and then you can buy them. That's one way that they could sell stuff.
I don't know that they will.
Like, it doesn't have to be incredibly different. Just maybe a color change or some little changes, because in this game you do have standard character models that you can enable for PvP. So that wouldn't be as big of an issue as something like in League, for example, where some skins are actually banned from competitive play because they give advantages to players. Right?
You could have like Black Meteor Shower on.
Yeah, you can see
Edgelord Meteor Shower.
They could do that, but also they have been doing a really good job with skins in the gem store lately, to the point where even us, we say that they are legendary tier skins, right? So they could keep doing that. I mean, at the end of the day, like, funnily enough, one of those legendary weapons from the gem store is actually less expensive than one that you actually make yourself for like 2,000 gold, right? Of course, it doesn't have the footsteps, it doesn't have the other stuff, but yeah, they could keep doing stuff like that, because at this point, it kind of feels like a legendary weapon skin is on the same level as those. So it's making them a pretty good amount of money, I think. But what else can they add? Like, it's skiff skin, turtle, siege turtle skins, profession mechanic thing skins. I don't know. Like,
Player
what else can they do?
housing.
Player. I don't even know. I dislike that idea, but yeah.
It's
Like,
gonna,
what else can they do, actually?
That's gonna happen, dude. Okay, but it's a good question, and I think we'll come back to that because Pang has been stun locked for so long time. I'm gonna stun break him. Mantra of Liberation activates. Okay, go.
I don't even remember what I was gonna say anymore.
No.
Feels bad.
Have a guess.
Feels. Wait. So we were talking about what? No elite specs, right?
Yeah.
No elite specs for more content. Well, you see, the thing is, I think Icebeard Saga is kind of like one of the odd man out in terms of like the content that he delivered in it, because like we all know it felt really, really rushed after like the first 2 episodes. Like after Grathmore was really good. Like everyone really loved Grathmore. I believe at least that's like the general consensus, I believe, about Grathmore, is that everyone really liked it, and for the most part of Biora Marches as well. But then after that, it just kind of felt really bad on a PvE sense. And then like the story and the DRMs, I don't remember. I think the last time I did a DRM myself was like last year, or like. I didn't even do the last ones. Like I only got dragged through the last ones, and I think I AFK'd through most of it because I just wasn't interested in it.
Leeching.
Yeah, I think I was literally leeching in it on stream too. No, I actually paid. I actually participated in them, but I only did them for the story, and that was it. That was literally it. Just did them for the story. Just did them once, and that was it. Because the arms weren't that fun. But like if they actually took the time to like introduce new content instead of just like focusing on other things like elite specs, then it would be better. Like just say, for example, if they took more time to work on alliances for Overworld, then that might actually be a thing right now, or that might be a thing that they release for End of Dragons. So like a lot of things feel like really rushed, probably because of the expansion, and probably because they're trying to get things out there. And like they did have the best quarter recently, but like what actually is the cause of the best quarter? Is it actually elite specs, or is it because of fishing, because of skiffs, or is it because of like going back to Guild Wars Kantha? Going back to factions and revisiting those maps once again. Like is it nostalgia? Because it's like the same thing as like D2R, for instance, right? A lot of people playing that just because of nostalgia. It's the same freaking game over again, but everyone just playing it for nostalgia.
I think a big part of it is like DX11. Actually, I think there's engine upgrade gets people hyped up. I think elite specs expansion gets people hyped up a fair bit as well. Like that's why you're seeing like more people come back to the game. I mean, look, nothing's happened in Guild Wars 2 for like 4 years. I think the game is finally kind of re-entering the conversation, right? With the expansion with End of Dragons, so that's helping a lot. I guess my point is, you mentioned some really interesting things there, like alliances, right? And even what I said, DX11, they don't sell those. When you aren't buying alliances, alliances will be available to free-to-play players, right? DX11, when it comes out, will be available to free-to-play players. You're not buying anything with that. And this was like my point here. Like how, like what would be something like, what if they started selling stuff like season passes, right? What if they start adding stuff like mini expansions that are like it's like you buy the Icebrewed Saga in a way, right? And you can't play it unless you actually buy it. And it comes with like a new territory, like new maps, all that kind of stuff.
That's not gonna sell.
And that wouldn't, what if it also came with like something to do with combat, right? What if?
I meant it's because it's the Asper Saga. It was just a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But like, imagine if you have to buy something like the Icebrewed Saga, right? It's got all, but all in one go. Like you drop the Icebrewed Saga in one go, right? It's got like 2 or 3 maps on it, whatever. We've got the masteries. We've got like strike missions and shit that come with it, like that new content. It's got new rewards. It's got legendaries, right? Like the return to you got legendaries. You've got infusions. You've got your cosmetics. But it doesn't have elite specs. What if you did that every year? Like if you sold something like that every year, does that actually sell? Does that generate hype around the game? And by the way, I know normally we ignore the chat because you know what, dude? The chat, very sussy. But I want to see some chat participation. Like, does that sell? Right? Every year, let's say we sell it for $20-$25, right? Maybe it has something to do with combat, right? Maybe we've got like a new weapon because, hey, look, do you know what people want? Great axe, right? People want like halberd or whatever, right? Like spear or some shit, right? But not elite specs. So it's something that gives you new moves. So maybe they add a new class one time. They add land spear, like for half the classes, trident for other half of the classes, right? Maybe they add new core utility skills, something like that. I don't know.
I just don't think it gets them the free publicity that it's one of those things where like the greater MMO genre and even the greater like gaming media, the word expansion means something, and the word like battle pack or whatever you call it means a lot less. And if you release an expansion, you get articles in every publication. But if you release a battle pack, no one's gonna push it. And maybe you don't need that anymore. Maybe Twitch is enough. Maybe YouTube is enough. But I think that ArenaNet would have to be like super careful to change their entire business model around that. Because obviously Ice Sagas weren't enough to keep the game alive. So I don't know necessarily that battle passes would be.
But hang on a minute though, right? Is that true? Because didn't the Icebrewed Saga announcement get 30k viewers or like 20 to 30k viewers when they did
people
the
wanted it to be good, but then that was the most horrific disaster that could have happened.
But why? Why was it horrific? It was a horrific disaster because they fumbled it and they knew they had to cancel it before it even started, right? Essentially, because of like NCSoft hitting them with a great axe, right? Dude, fucking leaked, okay? NCSoft adding great axe into the next saga because they used it on ArenaNet, right?
Sigil of severance packages.
Oh my god. Okay.
We definitely got debated. We thought it was going to be an expansion announcement, and it turned out to be a living story, like half of a living story announcement.
It turned out to be a Nemesis hybrid build.
With like some like, man, I say it every time this gets brought up, but I feel so bad for Roy that spent like so much money flying out for it, thinking it was going to be like so amazing, and it's just. He must have just like started counting the money he spent on that plane ticket to get there.
I think the reason why it wouldn't sell is because all the things that you could think of adding that are not specs, because once you buy an expansion, you have the spec, it's playable forever and whatnot, right? But it's like a big thing. But if you were to add like smaller things, $25 every like 6 months or however much it costs over a period of time or whatever. But I think most people, don't most people just like play the game a couple hours a day? They just kind of log off and that's it. Like it would sell, but it wouldn't sell as much as an expansion because it's kind of like a commitment at the point. It's kind of like a subscription fee in a way. But wouldn't it make people feel like you are playing the base game if you don't pay the subscription fee anymore?
Well, isn't that kind of what expansions are?
Well, yeah,
and like a very very cheap sub fee, right?
It's not like it. Well, it's a very very cheap sub fee, yeah, but it wouldn't it make you feel like you're being left behind? Because expansions, they are things that they release every like 2 years, or it's like a big thing. But if you don't buy this thing, it would have to cost like very, very little, like €5 every like 6 months or something like this.
Wait, really? Dude, I'm gonna activate. Guys, dude, how many hours have every like degenerate on this podcast and here got out of this? Like, even if
I would buy.
I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, dude, I don't care if if the new expansion has specs or not. I don't care if they don't give me a raid. I'm buying everything this company gives me. I am sucking it up. I'm emptying my wallet.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
Mela is a pay pig.
Yes, right.
Whale in the chat, boys.
But I am one guy, right? We are like 5 people, and yeah, I mean.
Don't people like to get milked on the gem store though? Like, people like buy this stuff. Dude, look, there was a Reddit post about the hover bike saying, I insta-bought this. I saw, thank you, ArenaNet, for adding a hover bike. Thank you for milking my wallet, right?
Yeah, but that's like a skin.
But why not? Wait, so people will pay for like a worthless skin that does nothing, but they won't pay for fucking... No,
this is two different... We're talking about two different groups of people.
Oh my god.
The people that buy skins are like are lifers that are like tied to the game by their umbilical cord. But the people that you need are the people that show up for the expansion, play for like a week, and then go play the next game that comes out, and then they come back around for the next expansion. That's the people you need.
I just mean, my big point around this is that ArenaNet, their business model is actually insane, and I've just realized it now.
Yeah, it is.
They don't sell fucking content. Like, they give away... Dude, look, think how long it takes to model that skin. And by the way, the skin is very nice. I want to be super clear. I'm not disrespecting the modeling team or Arena who made like the hoverbike shit, but what do you guys think takes longer? A fucking hoverbike skin, 2,000 gems, by the way, or whatever it costs. I think it's around 2,000 gems. Or no, it's worse. It's in the fucking Black Lion chest. So it's more than 2,000 gems probably on average, isn't it? What the fuck? Okay, and right, compare that to an not even Ice Brewdogger. Fuck it, right? A Living World episode from like season 4, because people like those, right? Do you know how much that costs, guys? 200 gems. So in other words, they will sell you for like 1/8. Oh yeah, 1.6k. Okay, yeah. So 1/8 of the price of a fucking skin that probably didn't take, wasn't like super hard to make for the modeling team, right? And the dev team there. They'll sell you content for 1/8 of that. That is insane. I'm sorry, that is ludicrous, right?
It is insane.
So I just think that surely they've got to do something about this. They've got to actually get value and generate hype, get those big hype announcements like the Saga, like EOD, like that, and get it more regular so their name stays relevant in the MMO sphere, right? Because look, let's be honest, Guild Wars 2 has kind of fallen off. Okay, Brazil, go.
You're wrong. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. So you said a Living Story update that you have to go back and buy is 200 gems, right?
Yeah.
And we'll just say that the hover bike skin or hover skimmer skin or whatever is 2,000 gems, right?
Uh-huh.
So a story episode is 1/10 the price of the hover skin. But here's the thing. People actually enjoy opening loot boxes. No one enjoys the story.
Oh my god.
You only play the story to do achievements and unlock ascended trinkets from Dry Top. You don't play the story to enjoy it because it's trash.
But the story is not just that. The story has got strike missions. It might come with potentially an extra content patch, right? Like a new feature, new masteries, right? Like new systems to explore, right? Maps, meta events, right? It's not just about the story, right? When you buy a Living Story, a Living Story is way more than that, and it's a lot to make. And I just think
do you have to buy the Living Story to get access to strike missions?
Yeah.
You can't play strike missions without buying Living Story?
No.
You're sure?
Yeah, I think so, right?
That's going to change.
Oh,
it's going to change.
No, you can do them,
currently...
but I think you can do them because in either North, but you don't have the mastery, so you don't get the rewards.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. That sounds correct.
Yeah. Oh, do you need?
And it's gonna change
But you
with
get the Bone
X-Back.
Skinner tokens, though. You still
Yeah.
get the Bone Skinner tokens. You just can't open the chest that gives you like blues and greens.
Well,
I think
yeah,
we
to
have
be
the
fair, a lot of
answer
them
under
don't.
our noses the entire time. We're just dancing around the answer.
What is it?
Yeah,
One thing that they could sell is just sell pieces of content that give you cool
Raids.
looking skins. No, I mean
Buy a raid wing.
Okay,
Do you
okay.
dare gatekeep my skins behind challenging content? How dare
Well, okay.
you?
How about this?
what if
They
you could buy
sell-
raids with gems instead of gold? You could
I
transfer
would buy it.
gems to other players.
Wait, no, that's not what I meant. I would buy a raid if they sold it on the gem store. I think a lot of people would.
1 million. Dude, you know what you could do? You could have like a crowdfunding campaign. So you have to like throw gems into the pot, and like at 1 million gems, they make the raid wing.
Imagine
It
like
would
the
maybe
hardcore.
get to 10,000 gems.
Imagine the hardcore scene gets together, farms open world, so that
Dude,
the entire
holy
guild
shit.
can
No,
buy a
no,
raid.
Dude, the entire raid scene jacks up the prices of raid selling, and raid sells their way to a new raid wing.
Yeah,
And deliberately gatekeeps everyone out of raids, forcing people to buy.
I would be
so
down with
raids
that.
are
I would
even
love
less
to see
played
that.
because they cost money,
I would
and then they
love to see
die
that.
again, right? Yeah, I think what they could do it's a bit of a weird thing because I don't have like a final version of this, but
ArenaNet
they could-
is generating sociopaths without the abusive childhood.
Oh, man.
they could sell content that gives you cool looking rewards, is what I'm saying. Because do any of the current stories give you anything that looks appealing?
There's some pretty cool skins, I think.
I genuinely don't know because I don't remember
Yeah.
doing them.
There's some
even though I
solid
did.
ones. Oh, I see. So instead of selling the mount skin, you would sell like a piece of content that drops the mount
That
skin.
yeah, and it doesn't even have to be
Okay.
RNG.
Okay.
You could buy it with like the currency of the
Yeah.
content, because I don't know. I think that's you still paying the same price. Well, I guess that would be more work then, because you need to make the store. Oh, never mind. Well, unlucky. My idea has been shattered by content development.
Yeah. I just really want to come back to this. Like, I'm not saying they should stop living. I don't think they would stop doing living story ever. I think they will always do that because they want the really granular updates. I think that's one of the strengths of Guild Wars 2, actually, right? I think I know that the story gets shit on a little bit, but if you look at a game like WoW, right? There is patch 8.2 coming soon, very shortly, right? In World of Warcraft, but it was like 6 months, right, between patches, right? They had like nothing, like no updates, and I know that's basically where we are right now in the pre-X-Pack lull. But hey, look, ArenaNet's restructuring their internal organization for the 10th time. This time will be the one for sure, guys. Am I right? Am I right? Any copiums in the chat? But I think that if they could get to a model like that, where they were actually kind of like shipping like and something every year that had like, oh yeah, Guild Wars 2, end of memes, right? Like, I don't know, Guild Wars 2 in space, right? Which is what Doroya wants. Like that kind of thing, that could be pretty interesting. And they could actually sell that, right? If they were shipping features like new masteries, like something else there as well. Do you not think that's a possibility? They could actually change it? Because I think that the current model right now almost is a bit scuffed because like, they don't generate a lot of hype. And they give all their content away for free at a very low price point of nothing.
Except for skins, the skimmer skin,
Yeah.
not free.
I guess the idea is that you make the content. The content makes people play the game. The content then makes people spend money on the gem store, right? Which, hey, I guess it works. So I guess just, hey, if you want people to spend money, get more people playing the game and you'll get more content. But I guess it's just really hard for them to justify developing stuff when not all the things they do are directly monetizable, right? Like, stuff like alliances, it's just like a huge rework to the system, but it's not like directly monetized. It's why build templates got monetized, right? Because, raid players probably don't buy a lot of gems, right? Because they don't need it because they just farm the game. And as a result of that, yeah, like this is a really harsh reality, but build templates were monetized because they are exactly what they say on the tin. It is a hardcore tax, right? Like they are a hardcore tax on players. Figured it out. Guys, we've known about this for years. This isn't anything new, right? There's not a case of figuring this out. It's just, I don't know. I almost feel like ArenaNet has to look at the way they're going to handle expansions and content releases in the future to make it a bit more sustainable, right? They can't keep like layering on a million elite specs. They probably have to change the type of features they're going to be delivering very, very soon. Otherwise, it's just going to be a complete clown fiesta. Making the game more and more
how
complex
many
is not gonna be
expansions more do you think there's going to be? Like, there's probably going to be one more at most. I would say
we should have brought that up earlier, but I don't see the game going anywhere for 5 years.
I mean, 5 years. Like, let's say the next expansion is 3 years. Okay, so next expansion drops 3 years after EOD, so that's 2025. 2028 seems totally reasonable for Guild Wars 3. Like, they don't. I don't think that there needs to be 2 more expansions. I think one more gets you to Guild Wars 3.
I agree with that.
2028 is so fucking far away, and that would be when the next expansion or the second expansion down the road comes. They don't need to do, like, who cares?
I don't think the world will exist by then, but I think
probably not. I mean,
in the context that it does still exist, I think.
Yeah, we'll be starting Trump's 3rd term. It'll be Constitution 2.0.
I don't think they would have added the X11 into the game if they were keeping the game up for only, I mean, I say only 5 years, but they could have kept the game up for 5 years without adding the X11, and just start working on Guild Wars 3 now if it was going to release in like 2028 and actually make the game not broken.
What if they've been working on Guild Wars 3 for the last 3 years?
All I'll say is that I had an insider source leak to me that Guild Wars 3 would be out in 2026.
That might be a bit early.
Nice.
Might be a bit early at this point.
But okay, like speaking of monetizing stuff, what's stopping them? Okay, I'm gonna say this first. Like, underwater weapons have been purged from the Black Lion skins. They don't make them anymore, right?
Yeah.
So underwater weapon skins are just kind of dead, just like underwater content, right? But why are they not selling underwater weapon skins on the gem store? Wouldn't people actually buy those?
No.
No. Okay. Then why? Okay. Why are they not selling extra guild slots? Wouldn't people buy extra guild slots? What's stopping them from doing that?
Discord.
Well, it's not even that. Wasn't there data on this? I think so. No, yeah. Ben said this in the chat. The average number of guilds that a player is in is 1.
Yeah, you can be in a Discord server for the guild and not be in the guild, and you get all of the benefits of being in the guild without being in the guild.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, join Hardstuck Discord.
Yeah. Discord.gg/Hardstuck. And I think...
Or suckmygoddamnballs.com.
That works too, actually, funny enough. But yeah, I think that there is something good about being in-game guilds, right? That is good, even though there isn't a crazy amount of content oriented around it. But I just don't think a lot of people are actually in more than 1, or like more than 2, right?
Well, I'm just trying to think, like, what can they actually sell on stuff that we have in the game right now? Like, is there any skins they could be selling? Is there any guild upgrades they could be selling?
Hell yeah, brother! Turn my skiff into an airboat. Let's go, yeehaw!
Yeah, TeaPot mentioned the Royal wanting Guild Wars 2 in space. I mean, they could sell spaceship skins on the gem store if they did that.
Flying fucking mounts. I think to me the obvious one in that regard is player housing. Right? Or, well, if they do go hard on guild halls, oh my god. Do you know what they could actually do?
Guild.
Holy shit. They could actually make like a proper World vs. World, like GVG arena in the guild hall, and then sell like terrain on the gem store. So you could like make a custom guild arena, like GVG arena and shit like that. And therefore they have now officially monetized GVG.
Yeah, someone mentioned this in the chat. Like, why don't they do more stuff with guilds? The game is called Guild Wars 2. And that, like, what can they sell with guilds?
You don't know the lore behind why it's called Guild Wars 2.
Listen, Sweaty, the lore is actually in reference to the Guild Wars, which is a thing that happened.
Yeah. It's not about being in it. Well, I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, it's about people.
No, hang on. Let's not take that so literally, right? Because
that's what they take it literally, though.
Yeah, but what is Mela getting at there? Though? No, because Mela brought that up. And why did he do that? What was the point? Well, he did that because he's referencing the fact that for an MMO, there aren't a lot of social features, right? There's not a lot to do with.
Even guild missions, they're dead. Why would I do them? Like,
I think okay, Pan can come in right now as well. He's about to activate, but that's the overall point. The point is that Mela's bringing up is that they could look at features for guilds to have that more social element, which, to be frank, has been lacking. Dude, look, have you guys looked at like the friend system, the LFG, the mail system? This is scuffed. Okay, it's it's fucking scuffed. They can sell what would be really great? They should sell me an upgrade that makes it so my guild panel doesn't freeze my game for 3 seconds when I open it. Okay, I'll buy that for gems. Okay, let's go. But anyway, Pang, let's go.
I actually wasn't going to activate, but yeah, I mean, like talking about like everything guild related, there really isn't. Like, yeah, there's so many people that I've encountered that just will not be a part of any communities, even in the MMOs, just because of like social anxiety or the bad experiences with other guilds or other things like that. So that is probably why like a lot of people won't join a big community like Hardstuck, for instance, where there is a lot of stuff going on, not just on NA but on EU as well. There's like so many things that are happening in the game, but it's just everyone like you can spend a whole day playing the game and never interact with anyone ever, and you can have like as much fun as interacting with other people. Or maybe you might even have a worse time, because like when you go into raids, everyone's so toxic, right? I'm gonna get kicked for playing a weird build. Like, hey, yesterday I did a Wing 5 training, and I asked, so there was a person that was in the berserker role. So I asked like, are you playing Connie banners or power banners? He said, I have my own build. So I just looked like, okay, fine, whatever, just bring banners, and then that's it. But like, it's like I didn't want to impose a build on this person, but they were pulling a decent DPS, so I didn't really question it all too much after that. So it's just the reality of things, I guess. Now that I feel like it's more of how the environment Guild Wars brought upon itself since its launch, that it has been a casual game. So that's why it still needs to kind of be a casual game and not a hardcore game. Like, yeah, you can play a casual game hardcore, but not everyone sees it that way.
I think came up with some ideas.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can reply to Pang if you want, Teapot, but I thought of some stuff.
Oh yeah, I was just going to reply to this. I mean, I think every game is a casual game. I just think that Guild Wars 2's social features just aren't really that good. Like, guilds are a bit scuffed. Mm-hmm. The guild panel could honestly use a bit of a rework. There's no new guild missions that have been added. I think people actually do like them, right? I think people like the idea of them, but it's just old, right? This is a thing about players and humans in general, right? There can be something that's really, really good, but if it isn't hype, if it isn't recent, then no one fucking cares, right? You know what I mean? And it's like this. If there was an update, yeah, people would go back there. Like, for example, when Alliances come out, people will play it just because there's a fresh lick of paint. Even though, realistically, the gameplay isn't going to change much. It's like the UI is being rearranged, right? Like, nothing's really changing that much, okay, with World versus World. But people are going to play it because it's new, right? Whenever there's a new PvP map, people are going to get hyped, right? Whenever there's a new anything, people are going to get hyped, right? And start playing it. And just having something new will make people engage with it more, even if it hasn't necessarily done that much. And I think it's the same thing with guilds, right? Like, if guild missions came back, then people would do them, right? New rewards, like new stuff to do there as well. If the systems were better, if the social systems were better, if there was a better way to find guilds, if there was a guild finder in the game, like where you could, properly have a like permanent advert and not just have to have like an actual bot having open LFG the entire time, right? It will be way better, right? If there were proper systems that, brought players into these social circles, dude, fuck it. Why not integrate with Twitch and integrate with Discord, right? Look, let's not try and pretend. guild systems in every MMO, not just Guild Wars 2, have been rendered kind of obsolete by Discord. As Brazil said, he's absolutely right. Discord is taking over, right? It's replacing what's in the game. So the games need to evolve and either join with that or compete with that and make something better. On top of that, like, these are things they could add. But again, do you know what the problem is? You're not selling that, right? That will be a rework to the system. That will be a rework to the feature, right? They wouldn't necessarily be putting that in the expansion. They could ship it at the same time, but again, it would be available to all players who aren't even paying, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'll hand over to Mela now.
So yeah, those are not things you can sell. But what if, I know ArenaNet loves working on UI elements in this game. I think we all know that, and we can agree with the fact that the devs love moving the UI in this game and doing any kind of work with it, right? What if they sold UI elements on the gem store for real money or gems, right?
Like a DPS meter.
I would buy a DPS meter.
I would buy a DPS meter as well, but I meant more have a Super Adventure Box Cloud mouse cursor in the gem store.
Oh my.
A lot of games do that.
Ooh, just like
custom cursors.
Is that not too, I thought that's almost too far, right? Like,
no,
UI
I mean,
no,
dude, how many people bought fucking
YOLO mouse?
The YOLO mouse from Steam now that it's paid, now that you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, some people have to pay for it, but
like I think, I mean, dude, look, I would buy a mouse cursor that is more visible because I keep losing it all the time because it blends too well with the background. And I think that a lot of people have the same issue, especially if you play on high DPI and you just alt tab on Discord all the time. But I think people would actually buy a custom cursor. It doesn't necessarily have to be an SAB one, but they can make a little Christmas tree. I sound like such
a Sir Hothan cursor.
Yeah, they can make a bunch of stuff into like a mouse cursor, or even I don't know, change the way that the guild panel looks, or the inventory looks, or the chat in the bottom left looks, or whatever. I think that's a little bit too far. But I think changing the mouse cursor would be maybe something they could think about. I wouldn't spam it. I would actually make them good, but yeah. I'm trying to think of stuff they can sell, but yeah.
You should be able to buy more slots in a Black Lion chest on the gem store. Can you imagine having like 5 slots instead of 3 slots to make the keys more valuable? It's a permanent unlock. You can add an extra slot to the Black Lion chest.
It's massive value if you're gonna whale out on keys.
It would have cost me less than $300 to get the fucking astral cape that I don't use anymore, the shimmering cape. I used it for like 3 days, and I don't use it, and it was expensive.
I'm kind of curious. Like, do you think they could actually do stuff like that and sell UI customization? Would people be okay with that? I almost like that is where is that not a little bit over the line? Like selling UI customization.
Would you say that has to be base game? Is that why?
Well, it's just that UI customization to me is like build templates. That is a core function, right? Like at this point, it's almost like you buy the game and then you have to buy the rest of the game in the gem store, right? Like I don't know. I get a little bit icky, like thinking about that. That seems to be moving towards that is just very anti-consumer, right? At that point,
I love anti-consumer.
Seems to be moving to like a mobile game kind of.
Yeah. It's maybe too much, at that point. I think they should, well, if you want my honest opinion, they should probably just come up with an actual good policy and maybe even vetting process for third-party applications, to be frank, would be really worth a look at. I think UI customization is something that the game needs. Bit of a tangential topic there, of course, but I think particularly with Spectre, by the way, and allied targeting, right? Yeah, the in-game UI is not designed for Spectre. That's no secret, right? Everyone knows this. Not being able to move your squad UI like above your health bar or something like that is kind of annoying, right? It's not good. And of course they can maybe like fix it a bit with a better hotkey support, right? And being able to sort that, you can do that. I don't know, like it's kind of an interesting meme, right? It needs to be worked on, I think.
Introduce like really flashy screens that give you epilepsy and then make people pay not to have it.
No, No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they sell Guild Wars 2 glasses as well. to fix the problem.
Yeah.
But okay, like so everything you just said, Teapot, you would want that to be base game, right?
I think
I
it
just
has
don't think
to
you
be.
want it.
I think-
Wait, you said it has to be?
I think it kind of has to be. Yeah. If you were gonna.
Okay, then
add,
how
like-
about this? How about they make an entire expansion when they fix the UI and also add better character customization when they create a character or things of the sort?
Do they do that anyway though with character customization? We're gonna get loads of new faces and like hairstyles and stuff, right? With the expansion, I'd imagine. I'd be very
Yeah, I
surprised if we
mean-
didn't.
I mean that's like change the way you customize a character. That would be like
mean,
that
You want
could be
boob
one
slider or
thing that
what?
could-
Like, what do you want?
Ah.
Yeah.
Why am I so easy to read? I have issues. I gotta fix that.
It's
But like
probably
seriously,
the hair and the glasses.
Pay to
that
win
give it
jiggle
away.
physics. Is that what you want?
I do like the customization in this game.
You can
I
buy
do
a
actually
tonic,
like.
like a tonic in the gem store that activates the jiggle physics.
We have the
With the
special
Tangy.
mode.
Do you
I want that
understand
on a
these?
Tangy.
People would buy that, by the way. People would actually buy.
Well, they
mean, I
have a
would.
bobblehead tonic already, right? Or
I would.
They have the physics. They have
station.
the system for it.
I'm thinking that's something they could add with the expansion. Like, yeah, adding a new face. No, I'm not talking about the booba slider. Like they changed the entire character customization, changing the entire UI. Like they are, putting the X11 in. Now change everything else as well instead of specs. Right? We go back to like the previous topic a little bit. But if you think that should be a base game, then they can work on that during expansion development. But again, they wouldn't sell that directly. They would sell stuff like new race, new stories, and stuff like that in the new expansion. But work on it in the new expansion. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think that's what they try to do right now. They add loads of features, they bundle them in, and then they use that to attract players who will then hopefully spend money in the cash, right? That's what alliances are, right?
Yeah.
They're saying we're going to make World vs. World really good, and we're going to make Guild Wars 2 the open world PvP, large scale PvP MMO, and then they're going to attract those players who maybe got bored of invulnerable players and infinite money in New World to come and play this game, right? Or don't like the other options out there, right? In terms of world PvP, and then of course they will then engage, right? And you could do stuff like I think there are some things you could do with World versus World, for example, like custom decorations for keeps you've taken over. Could do that, right?
Dude, what about siege skins?
Yeah,
in
siege
the gem
skins.
store?
You could have like you could have like a catapult skin, battering golem skin. Right, for all the people who was like taunting the people who were into mechanists, right? Like, oh yeah, you thought you could customize the mech? Well, you can in World versus World with a siege golem, right? Hell yeah! Oh, dude, they make siege turtles go in World versus World and then sell siege turtle skins. Ooh,
You throw the siege turtle at the enemy with your siege.
yes, siege turtle gate. Yeah, Doliac skins, right? I think there are definitely some things you could do, right? For World versus World. But yeah, so that's what they try and do right now, I think. I was thinking from a content perspective, like, not things that you can actually attach to a price tag, right? So stuff like masteries, stuff like a new weapon, like elite specs, that's the kind of thing I think you want to look at. Because that's
make
where,
a raid.
do you think people would actually be okay with that? Let's suppose
Yes,
that
for sure.
in the future, let's suppose that they release, a raid wing, at some point, but you have to actually buy the raid wing for let's say it costs 800 gems or something like that. Like that might honestly, I suspect they'd do it for a lot lower, more like 400.
I think
maybe
it would
even
cost
200.
way more, actually.
Do you think
Well,
they'd-
yeah,
would people be okay with that? Like, would that be really bad?
Sure.
Or would be okay?
Yeah, here's the thing
I
about
pay
that.
1,200 for
Yeah.
raid wing.
Yeah, I'd pay more than that.
Yeah, I'd probably pay like
I'd pay-
2,400.
Yeah,
to be
I'd pay
honest.
2,000 at least.
Because here's the thing. Like, I think that it doesn't matter how low they sell it. The fact that no one plays the raids, no one would buy it anyway. So
No,
Why-
people would buy it and just not play it.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
completionists out there that'll be like, "Oh my god, I have to have it."
Yes. And
I
you have
guess.
to have an expansion to do particular raids anyways. So if they just release raids independently, like price independently from the expansion, I'd be totally okay with that. If I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 15, 29 raid weeks a year, but I had to buy them all, and I didn't have to buy a shitty expansion that I don't care about, like Path of Fire, then yeah, I'd do it. I'd rather buy raids than an expansion that sucks with elite specializations.
yeah.
Sell everything a la carte.
It's-
Yeah, for sure.
It's just
Like, I only want to buy Bladesworn. Fuck the others. Just give me that for $2 and I'm
Oh,
set.
definitely. I would totally be down with that.
The whole thought process where I'm at is I even saw this in the chat, right? Someone said, I don't want to pay for content. It just seems so crazy to me that ArenaNet has almost like conditioned us and the community in that they give away what's hardest to make for them for free. And people are perfectly happy getting milked for stuff that's just fluff, basically, right? Like, that to me is insane that that's the case. And I feel bad for ArenaNet because I think it's so hard. Path of Fire being sold for $30? Oh, I mean, god damn, dude. That's insane. Because how do you then ratchet the price up again? Like, if you say, oh yeah, next X Pack's going to cost more than that, right? It's going to be like a $50 or a $40 expansion again. Like, bear in mind, if you buy WoW, it's, I think in the UK, it's £45 to buy, which is more like $50 right now. And then you pay a sub fee as well when you play the game, right? And that, look, they obviously get loads of content, right? And all that kind of stuff. Amazing. You can be a fucking orc. You can be a Sylvanas enjoyer. Great. But it's insane that Guild Wars 2 has like baited people into never expecting to actually pay for what's insanely hard to make and only be willing to pay for like fluff that is way lower effort than the actual content. Like, this stuff like blows my fucking mind, right?
Like, it's very human psychology. Like,
it's one of the biggest reasons why raids stopped being made, because of the fact that they take so long to make, and like they're not getting any money for it. Like, they released one raid with the expansion. That should have been it. Like, the rest should, like, couldn't they do that? Like, they released 3 raids in POF, right? One comes with the expansion, the other 2 you gotta pay for. Wouldn't that make sense? So that they can keep making more long term, because now, this is the thing, guys. Like talking to the chat right now, like, yeah, it sucks having to pay for a raid, but that only sucks because we're not used to it. And if that allows us to get more, then why not? Like, what's the problem with that?
I think the other thing to consider is like what percentage of Twitch streams at any given time are raid content?
Oh, I mean,
a third, 25%, maybe
3%.
I mean, honestly, it kind of might be more than that. Like, that's what you'd expect, obviously. But yeah, Twitch is heavily dominated by PvP and raids. Like, there's no question about that.
So I guess my thought would be like,
or fractals, fractals.
Doesn't that send the message that, like, even though it's like a relatively small percentage of the player base, it's a relatively large percentage of like what people are interested in watching, or it's what sells the game disproportionate to the amount of players that play it.
Yep.
Yeah,
if every raid stream was getting 0 viewers, organically people would stop streaming raids. They'd be like, oh shit, when I stream PvP I get 50 viewers, and when I stream raids I get 0 because no one's interested in raids. But it's not like that. It's basically like, if you stream raids, you're going to have probably more viewers on average than if you just stream story. So like, it seems like it's got a value to ArenaNet from like an advertising and promotion viewpoint, like in excess of like player in-game engagement. And so I do think there is a value-based argument for releasing more raids in that regard.
Or any content in that in that kind of direction, right? Anything that's like endgame. I think the strikes could be very good for attracting. I think when we're doing like the challenge modes, because the challenge modes are getting this could be very good actually for Arena. I think this might be an intelligent strategy from them in terms of marketing. They're staggering the release of the strike mission challenge modes. We don't know how long exactly they're going to stagger it. They mentioned this in the post that Cameron did on the blog the other day, right? That could be kind of cool, right? Because whenever there was a raid wing that came out, I would have like 2,000, 3,000 viewers when that was coming out, and now you're going to have that after the expansion. People are going to be getting hyped, getting into it, right? Oh, what's the next CM going to be, right? It's going to be a bit anticlimactic if it flops over first try because of Heel Scourge, but hey, I warned them. I warned ArenaNet about this, guys. They can't blame me if it dies first try because of Heel Scourge.
Heel Scourge is going to be gone before the first. Before the first.
They'll get to kill it. They're going to kill Heel Scourge.
I wouldn't be surprised if they kill all the res skills, like the instant res skills. before
But they just released Spectre though.
Yeah,
they just released Spectre, and Spectre has the instant res.
Exactly, but Spectre's like so much better than, or Spectre's so much worse than Scourge at that. Scourge can like cast a wall of blood at you from range and res you without like having to like stop what it's doing. But anyway, they're gonna probably nerf Scourge in general. I would guess. I still think we're gonna see a balance patch before, either with or before the X pack.
Is it okay if I jump in real fast?
Oh yeah, sure thing.
So I just wanted to say what Nike was saying about the viewership of raids being higher than the player base for raids. That's absolutely true, because like Jimmy Kimmel had this whole thing where he was making fun of gamers over it and big E drama, because no one wants to watch XXX Gamerboy 69 stream where they do story content and they fight Big Nose Ted. No one cares about that because everyone can do it, aside from the one person on Reddit that can't beat Big Nose Ted.
What about the onion
farm? Yeah, people want to watch hard content that they can't do, so they can live vicariously through the streamer and they can experience the hard content without actually having to learn and having to do it. Same thing with PvP. People want to think that they're a PvP god, and they want to watch a pro PvPer and learn about PvP and think, "Oh yeah, I could do that too." But people don't want to actually put in the work to do that, so they can just watch instead, and it's fine. Which you're totally right about that. And so just for those reasons, they could just add more raids. They just seem to look at only look at the player base in game and how no one plays them. And I don't know, I guess that's the only metric they look at. But whenever there's a new raid, yeah, Teapot's viewership pumps up. People care about it. People want to watch it and see what it's like. So it's just silly. I don't know. I guess Yummy killed it for everyone. That's really what the takeaway is.
I think that if they made them now, though, if they made a new raid now focusing on the fact that Twitch gets a lot of views, YouTube gets a lot of views, the Reddit is active and stuff like that, I think the Wigan now would be a mistake because of the fact that they don't focus on these kind of platforms yet as much as they should, right? Like, if they actually cared about Twitch a little bit more before, like now with all the Prime Gaming stuff and all the other stuff, maybe keep making raids would have been a good thing because it does sell the game, right? So in a way, you're like indirectly selling something, I guess. But yeah, I don't think that would have been the case.
No. Oh no.
I guess it depends on. So I guess what this all comes down to sum it up, would be if the strike CMs are a decent or better replacement than raids, then everything should be fine, right? Like, if they can put out strike CMs like at a reasonable pace, then that seems fine.
Yep, I think that seems to be a good compromise. Yeah, I think Mela's definitely right too. You know, raids are definitely not worth developing right now. I think that's abundantly clear. You know, the raid participation has gone down through all of the raid wings, despite the best efforts from ArenaNet to try and make them a bit more accessible. But yeah, I don't know. Like, strike mission CMs are the next chapter. But yeah, for sure. Like, getting aspirational content out there is really important. You know, it is what attracts people to new games. You know, like, and also will attract potentially other streamers, right? You know, when streamers join the game, you know, if you look at, people like Soda, Summit, right, Stay Safe, they're all like, oh, I want to raid, right? Like, what's going on with the raids in this game? Like, what's the end game, right? I want to play the end game. And obviously that's a very different argument. You're now talking about, the value of having streamers, and that's debatable, right? Well, I feel like it's less debatable now after you've seen like how ridiculously hard really big streamers carry certain games, and have done for a while now. But I don't know, like it just depends. It just depends, right? Do ArenaNet want 100,000 people like spamming Kappa in the chat? I mean, and frogs. Think about how many frogs they'd have to deal with if all the streamers came.
That's why they're not focusing on Twitch. It's the frogs.
They're
the only reason.
They're in this place where they don't understand that the internet is full of trolls and memes. And it's like Nintendo. Nintendo wants to pretend that everything's family friendly and that swear words don't exist and all this bullshit. But you make a fucking online game, people are going to troll. People are going to do all this silly stuff that you have no control over. And if you ban them in Twitch chat, guess what? They're going to come back with an alt account and they're just going to do it again. You can't be afraid of the internet and the things that come along with it, and just try to make a game that's happy, safe. We're only going to promote positive people, and we're never going to partner Sneb. It's silly. It's silly and it's stupid. It's been like that forever too. I don't even know how I got into the partner program. I know that I got out of the partner program, but how I got into to begin with is just a total mystery. I don't know. That whole aspect of ArenaNet is incredibly confusing to me. It's always been confusing, and I don't think it just makes any sense at all.
Well, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with trying to foster a positive community. I mean, like, hell, even us, right? You know, the grumpy old men, right? I know, even we're pretty positive. I mean, you know, like, we get a bit of shit sometimes for being critical, but I think in general, everyone here actually wants the best for the game. You know, even Brazil who hates the game, doesn't even play it anymore.
I don't even play the. I only streamed it on Monday. You're right. I don't play the game anymore.
Okay. Anyway, Mela,
speaking of positivity,
shut it down right now.
Just like I said earlier, like we are all like old, grumpy, and you know, talking some smack once in a while, but we do all, you know, we'd all want the game to do good and keep playing it and see ArenaNet eventually go on the good road and make us excited again at some point with new content and Tango and stuff. Whoever wants Tango anyway. And I do actually think that they have a good chance to actually fix a lot of stuff with primarily PvE. With the expansion, because a big issue that I actually kind of talked on last time I was on TeaTime is the fact that PvE content is a bit all over the place when it comes to difficulty and the naming, and the fact that it's, you know, DRMs are basically dungeons, but they aren't, and it's a bit of a mess, right? I think that with the expansion they have a chance of actually fixing difficulty. Example would be, you know, raids right now. A lot of people find them hard, but they're not. ArenaNet had to actually help. They had to hold back a lot. Like if you look at Wing 5 was so hard to make, right? When they made Wing 6, for whatever reason, they made it still as hard as they did. But Wing 7 is basically Wing 1 difficulty. They kind of like lowered it a little bit again. But they all have one thing in common, which is the normal mode raids are actually easy mode raids. And because of that, the challenge modes are actually normal mode level. Depending on the boss you do. But in EOD, they have this opportunity of finally fixing that, because they actually had difficulty settings, which are supposedly, you know, they're supposed to fix this. You have easy mode, which is a story. You have the normal mode. And then, this is kind of scary, by the way, because we might be underestimating this, or it might just be me, like, not even being high on copium. I'm literally inside of the tank of copium right now. But the fact that they are releasing the challenge mode after like a week or so that the normal mode is out, that kind of tells me that it will actually be really hard. Otherwise, like, why would they do that? Maybe spread content a little bit. I don't really know, right?
I know,
but I'm positive about that, because they finally have a chance of fixing something in PvE that has been broken for years, which is difficulty, right? I think that's a really, really good thing. And also the fact that they are able to do them more often, because the fact they don't have to develop the story around the strike mission, which is the raid. They don't have to develop the, you know, all the pretty environment, which probably took longer to develop than the actual raids themselves, like the encounters. I think that's something very, very positive for the game. Even for people, you know, we always talked about Guild Wars was a PvP focused game. If you're looking for raids, go play something else. They might maybe come to an end. Depending on how well the new strike missions actually do. And I think that would be really, really cool to see all these new, you know, assuming that, you know, the media or whatever, you know, we on Twitch, YouTube, and people that make YouTube content and stuff actually are, you know, truthful when we say that they are actually good. We might see a lot of raiders come from other games actually trying out Guild Wars 2 raids, which are actually strikes, which is a bit weird, but I think that's really, really good for the game. So that's one positive thing that I have to say after I've been, you know, complaining and giving ideas about how ArenaNet can make money the entire TeaTime. But
hell yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, Ender Dragons is so weird. It's actually bizarre to actually say this. I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm on some kind of like buzz. It's not even copium, guys. It's not copium or hopium. It's just weirdium. Okay. Just imagine this. Just take this in, guys. ArenaNet 9 years after release of the game, haven't actually had like a consistent plan for PvE content ever. Like not even once. Like throughout the entirety of the game. Like what the fuck?
They don't half-ass things though, right, Teapot? They've never half-assed anything.
They don't. No. I'll actually defend them. No, they don't half-ass things. The problem is that they'll do something full ass, right? Like show me a raid wing that's half-assed. Every single one of those raid wings is both cheeks. Okay, seriously, they've got both ass cheeks on every single one of those raid wings. Wing 3? I mean, Wing 3 is buggy as hell, right? I mean, look, one of these days, seriously, 1.5k sub goal, we do basement strat KC on stream, right? Like, that's going to blow you guys' minds, right? That's gonna get crazy. That's why I'm going to get unpartnered for that one. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's buggy, but I don't think Wing 3 is actually like half-assed. I mean, Twisted Castle is very cinematic. Keep Contracting Zera are good bosses. Like even Escort is kind of like a pretty cool idea. It's Escort is the least bad event, right? Yeah, it is, because you can actually do it really well and speed it up really quickly if you execute it well enough. With like blinds and like solo capping right and moving the NPC and healing.
Yeah,
and giving
it's like the best
right?
trip to the dentist.
Yeah, I mean.
I just like the dentist.
I don't think it's half-assed, right? Like at all. Like Wing 3, I don't think any of the raid wings are half-assed. I think the strike missions are actually pretty damn good too. I like where they went with them, right? I'm like, this is like, what the fuck? What is this? Why are we doing this? Why are all these good takes coming through? What the fuck?
Man. I think all of the currencies, having a million currencies to do everything, they just don't plan. They don't go into anything with a plan. And I think Heart of Thorns, I would actually say that Heart of Thorns and the Living World, like after that, were half-assed. I think the entire expansion of Heart of Thorns was half-assed. I think there's a reason that there was a meme about it.
I don't think you can say that though. Everything, like all of the story that they've ever done, if anything, has been over-assed. Right? Like, think how much effort went into stuff. Have you done
the Mordremoth boss? I don't even know what it's called. Have you done Nightmare Hardcore or whatever it's called?
I mean, it was buggy. I mean, it's buggy.
Still buggy. They haven't fixed it yet.
I mean, yeah, sure, there are bugs on it, but I don't think it's under-assed, right? Like, there's a lot of detail.
It's 3/4
effort that went into it.
We'll agree on 3/4 assed.
I mean, look at stuff like Season 4. Like, Season 4, like, holy shit, like, was remarkably high effort, like, absurdly high effort. Corner was obviously a bit of a clusterfuck, same with Bitterfrost, right? Like, some of those were, some like, look, the Legend of Team 3, guys, a little bit of the under-ass team there for sure. But in general, I know, I mean, look, I don't want to go down this road. This is just like a bizarre, like, insane scenario where this is going. But no, for sure, right? Like, this is not...
I think if we talk...
No, Season 4 was the one where you ran around with Canuck and planted bombs, right?
No. Season 4 was like Sky Scale.
Okay, which one was the one with Canuck and the bombs? And going in
Season 3.
That was Season 2. That's 2 with Canuck.
Pang.
Okay, I think if you look at bugs...
I think there's 4 as well. Why? What's up?
You're my favorite TeaTime host because you're actually right. It was Canuck with the bombs in the cave, but that's not what I was thinking of. But still, that was actually I like you a lot.
I think if you look at bugs, then yeah, I agree with Brazil that everything they have ever done, because of the fact that they have left it bugged and broken, is not even half-assed. It's like less than that. But I think when it comes to everything else, like design. When it comes to design, encounter ideas, and all the other stuff, I think it's done real. I think that is full-assed, right? But when you think about bugs and how they just leave stuff broken because they
balance, they're not even sitting down. Like there's not even an ass under that. They're standing up.
Look. I mean, yeah, like dungeons are broken. Fractals are buggy, and it's a weird content because of pots and boost and whatever. Raids are buggy and they're dead. Strike missions are still bugged. Whisperer Jormak is laughing at Teapot right now specifically and pointing at me. And Rev is still broken. the rev templates, any rev mains in the chat, have fun with, your skills randomly changing all the time. I think, rev is a good spec. It does, unique idea. You don't have different utility skills, blah, blah, blah. Dungeons are fun. Fractals are fun if you don't think about the instabilities. Raids are good content. I am dragged on raids on a daily basis, but they're just bugged, right? So if you think about the bugs, yeah, you could say that it's half-assed, but I think that's just bugs, right? I kind of agree with Teapot that when they do stuff, they do it really, really well. They just kind of leave it broken a little bit, right?
Yeah, have you ever seen Whisper of Jormag disappear at the end of the fight? And it's still there and you can still hit it, but it disappears. Have you ever seen Keep Construct just reset the fight for no reason?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's weird how that stuff's still in the game. You remember gliding at Zera and shooting yourself up to the moon?
Oh, that was
being able to stand on the platform with jump shot on core engineer with no ley line.
Works. I think that actually still works, by the way.
To clarify, I am defending, right? I'm not saying that it's garbage. I understand that some bugs happen so rarely that they're like, oh yeah, I don't care about fixing it because I'm working on an expansion, which is way more relevant. I get that. I do agree with Tiba though. Like, I'm not beating ArenaNet to death. I actually agree with you. Like, everything they do is, that's why I play the game.
They do a really good job of some stuff. I just want to be honest. They are probably the greatest MMO company at a lot of the things that they do. Like, by far. Like, they just knock so much shit out of the park, and then it's confusing whenever there are things. It's like, how did these things come out of the same studio? It's just so puzzling.
Yeah.
There are things when they stop releasing raids and they just make gem store skins, or they jump from currency to currency, and we're not going to use this currency anymore. Now we're not going to use geodes. We're going to use fucking bandit tokens or whatever. And we're not going to do raids. We're going to do dragon response missions. We're going to do strike missions. And we're just going to forget about dungeons and the open world, even though you have to do all the open world stuff when you make a new character, unless you boost it. But it's
they have been testing stuff in the game since it came out.
Yes.
That's kind of what I mean, right? This is what I really hope they do with Ender Dragons. And it seems to be, right, to re-rail the conversation, it seems to be what Grouch is attempting to do, right, is to say, right, we're going to come up with like a proper plan, right? The new leadership team at ArenaNet is like, right, we're going to actually have this, right? We're doing strikes for PvE. That's PvE, right? Maybe they add some fractals as well. That remains to be seen, of course. That's PvE. Okay,
and that's
alliances for World versus World. We're going to have regular balance updates after the expansion, led by like CMC and the gang, right? Like, and the hydration unit. Okay, Water Ellie's getting buffed. You heard it here first. Like, yeah, sure, great. That is what it seems like is the attempt. That's good, and I really hope they can fix the bugs. Too, just to kind of address the bug thing. Like, yeah, we can talk about specific bugs like here and there all over the place, right? But yeah, I do think it has to be a priority. The problem, but this is the other issue here, guys, by the way. This actually links, look, to, hey, we can actually really re-rail this conversation. This is a big problem. So bugs in old content, it's not something that ArenaNet can really use to generate revenue, right? Like, because of the fact they don't have a sub fee, they are massively incentivized to make new things instead of fixing old things, because they want players always moving on, always going to the next thing, right? And getting excited by that, and then buying some in the gem store, right? That's just the way the game works. So bug fixing is never going to be a priority for them. It will always be like, okay, right, we can squeeze in a few bug fixes here and there, but I would describe the amount of bugs in content that you'll kind of encounter on a daily basis if you play a lot of particularly endgame content, or maybe PvP. Getting stuck in a wall is a lot of fun. I would describe it as a critical mass, right? Like, it's almost at the point where you can't ignore it anymore. It's like, oh, okay, right, yeah, this game is fucking broken, and they need to fix it. So it is definitely a consideration. Like, and with any luck, they'll actually have a team assigned to just going through some of the most important issues there as well. What I think would be really good, this is like a completely wild idea here, would be some kind of like actual official issues list, right? Because right now,
Didn't they used to have that?
did they? Maybe,
Yeah,
Dev
maybe not the
tracker,
really
they
old
had a-
forums.
On the old forums, they had like a
bug tracker,
Yeah,
a
bug
dev tracker.
tracker.
Or something. Yeah, they did 100%.
Yeah.
And I think they should probably introduce something like that again, right? Where you actually have this official bug tracker. Because right now, how do you know if ArenaNet even know about a problem? Like, I mean, it might sound insane to you, but do you think ArenaNet knew that Whisper of Jormag was bugged? Right?
Yes,
The thing is, they probably didn't, right?
they probably
Well-
did. They either here's the thing. They either knew that it was bugged and had to say, okay, we've got to get this out. It's probably not going to happen all the time, so it's fine. Or they just didn't test it, which would be a huge surprise if they didn't test PvE content before they released it and just put it out.
Well, yeah, apparently there is a current known issues list, but one, this was last updated in 2020, by the way. And secondly, it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 issues on it. That's maybe a slight underestimate of how many issues there are in the game. I'd probably say it's more like 9,000 or closer to that anyway. But you know what? Not too bad, I guess. You know, it's good. It's good. It's good. I love to see it.
I've gotten all negative. Jeez, this is not good.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously they know about it now. Okay, guys, oh my God. Sometimes I genuinely believe that I have accidentally like suffered a stroke and started talking in a foreign language that I just made up on the spot. Okay, because people do not listen to a single fucking word I say. Yeah, obviously, right? They didn't know, like they know now, right? They've been spammed a million times, right? By people reporting bugs about Whisper of Jormag, but before people started reporting it a lot, yeah, sure, like it probably was an unknown issue. Like look, it's something that this is really old. So let me tell you a story about some of the stuff in Wing 3, because Wing 3 was pretty notorious for being a little bit questionable on launch with the way it actually worked. And Paul was there at the time. ArenaNet Paul was a developer who was the raid director at the time, one of the raid directors. He's now gone, but he actually told us in Twitch chat that, yeah, a lot of the issues that you're experiencing weren't necessarily, or weren't experienced by our testing team, because basically when they're developing raids, right, they're on a different version of the game, or they're on a separate testing environment, because they don't want to they don't want to have to like compile all of Guild Wars 2 every single fucking time they want to test a raid, right? That would be silly. Or like recompile the entire server every single time, right? They want to test a raid. No, they want to have different versions of this. And Paul said, and this is true, by the way, like, for very like large scale development projects, that, yeah, like when you try and merge all these together and get like this is Guild Wars 2 version 115,000. Yeah, like issues can spring up that weren't on the dev client, right? And can come out of nowhere. So developers may actually be, unaware of some of these problems. Now, I'm sure there were bugs that were known when the game was shipped, but, still, it's both, right? It's both. Yeah, go ahead, Mela.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, like this happens quite a lot, even with like smaller bugs they do like hot fixes for. Whenever they develop stuff on their own and then they import it into the game, it will sometimes generate some issues that they didn't actually get. Like, for example, when Wing 3 came out, the wargs were desynced. So you see, the warg is over there, Glenna's over here, we gotta keep her safe. And then the warg just randomly teleported on top of the NPC and just one-shotted her.
Yes.
Like, they didn't experience that during testing, because if they did, they would not have been able to actually complete the fight, right? I mean, of course, they have like dev tools and stuff like that, but yeah, no, like that bug probably happened because of the fact that they imported over to live servers and it just like broke something. Another example would maybe be, I'm not sure if anyone remembers this. I think it was with a POF. They added a worm skin in the game, like a new kind of enemy, a worm, and it actually broke the skin of the worms in Twilight Harbor.
Yeah,
the Jinundu. The Jinundu.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, League, I'm doing TA for some reason now. League did some Reddit now." Everyone knows, right? Like that one probably they just did not think about it. Because
they don't think about dungeons.
Yeah, because they were like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna randomly do TA on like our own private server where like developing stuff. Like that one is like whatever, right? It happens. Like it is both. Yeah. There's stuff that even I don't understand because I don't code, right? Even I don't know, even Twitch chat doesn't understand with their massive brains, right?
Pang, I want positivity, right? Come on, you need to redeem this right now. Otherwise, it's going to be a bloodbath, right? It's currently a bloodbath right now. I need you to activate and save the day. Sweep in and save us.
I don't think I can.
Oh no! He's a doomer.
No.
Pang is a black-pilled doomer.
It took one TeaTime to break him, right? That's how powerful we are.
That's all it took. Yes, that's right. No, but yeah, I just think that it's not really worth it for them to go back and fix old bugs. Like everyone knows who does strikes. Whisper, Dramatic, Broken, forever, and it's possible that like even in their testing, that all they did was they just activated the dev tools to just bring the boss down to 25% to see if it actually phases. And oh look, it actually phased from the center, and then everything was fine and dandy. They didn't test like right after a break and you phase it. They're not really testing like all the edge cases, like all the random things that happen. So it could be it could be like dev tested and shippable because it passed all their criteria that they have set out. So like how can you really blame them for like honestly as a software engineer, we should be always testing edge cases and every little weird thing that can happen, or they should actually play through their game, like actually do the whole strike from without the dev tools to see like what actually does happen, so that way they don't lose out on a lot of things. But yeah, like maybe they do need that, and but they can't play their own game. Well, maybe they should start playing their own game.
It's a pretty good game.
It is a good game, right?
I'm mad because I saw this a lot. You know what? I'm activated. I see this comment,
okay.
And it's made me a little bit big mad, right? Like a little bit. Right? Stop fucking saying this stupid shit, right? Because why do people say this, that the devs don't play their own game? Right? This is actually false, right? They don't play the game how you want them to play it, which is hardcore, but they absolutely play. A lot of the devs who we did the Extra Life charity with, yeah, they play the game. By the way, Indigo was a big pumper. Without Indigo, by the way, that Ken would never have died, 100%, right? And she's not even a raid dev, by the way. She's actually heavily involved in the lore and like the story stuff. Okay, and like the the kind of like the broader world building style stuff, right? But yeah, she has all CMs done, by the way, and was a big pumper. Was like pumping on Mirage. Would not have died without that. But also very important, guys. I do not like this. Please stop saying this because this is dumb. Because you know what, guys? On launch of Wing 5, this was Paul said this, that his team was able to consistently clear Doom CM. Okay? On launch.
With that
Paul?
Right?
Wait, Paul?
Yeah, Paul and the raid team, yeah. Okay?
They were able to consistently clear Doom CM.
Correct, yeah. Because they were talking about like, like how hard is the content, like how difficult is the content, right? And like, is this even possible, right? And yeah, like they said, we're able to consistently clear it.
I guess legendary armor is harder than Doom CM.
Apparently. But
I guess they're better than Jill Adrian. The average person on the team.
Okay, listen. I really don't like this because it's just blatantly untrue. Like the devs actually probably have a lot of hours in the game. Like, yeah, not all of them are hardcore raiders, like hardcore PvPers or whatever, but they absolutely do play. I saw this a lot, not only in my Twitch chat, in the Guild Wars 2 official Twitch chat during Extra Life. And so on and so on and so on. Like it's just a falsehood. I think it's a really toxic narrative that we shouldn't spread. I think it's a really, really bad look as the community. So please don't spread this. It's an outright falsehood as well. That makes it worse. Right? Not that it would be, good really to like really bash them if it was true, but it isn't true. The devs absolutely do play their own game, right? you know, like a lot of the devs that we're familiar with play as well, like CMC. I mean, those don't know, guys. CMC, back in the day, he nearly made it to Pro League, actually. And it was nearly like a Pro Guild Wars 2 player back in the day. Grouch actually used to be really highly rated in PvP too. He's probably a little bit busy right now to grind. But yeah, there is that too. But yeah, a lot of the devs actually play this content, but not all of them are raiders. And a lot of the devs that you see publicly aren't responsible for the end game content, right? That's done with a separate internal team of developers that work specifically on this, right? You know, Cameron, for example, is obviously a raider or a fractal player, but you don't see him play very often on stream, right? Only occasionally. The developers that you see are typically around the story and the lore and the devs, right? Which, again, is a very different thing. I know it's a very completely off topic, bit of a side rant there, but I see this stuff a lot, and it really pisses me off a lot when I see it, because it's just so, I don't know. I find it really, really slimy when people do this. It's just such a shitty bag. Also, by the way, most of you guys in chat are a bunch of shitters anyway, so it's not like you're much better.
Hell yeah, that's right.
Dude, I was about to say that.
Okay, right.
We all thought that. We were all
I wanted to say, like, even if the devs don't play the game, the fact that they develop it, they understand it better than most players anyway, so it doesn't matter that much.
No, I think you're absolutely wrong about that.
Ooh.
Well, not the story, though. I mean, people that actually do content and balance and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I think there are some people that are like just understand how video games work and are able to interface with their computer in such a way that they're good at games, and some people just can't do that.
Yeah.
So like I don't like that's not just like a saying that the devs, like there are devs that probably have no idea how to do anything other than fashion, and not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, that's fine, because most of the community probably can't do anything other than fashion. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, too. In Final Fantasy, I'm a fashion enjoyer. I don't care anything about the rest of the game. I'm full fashion in that game.
It's also irrelevant, by the way.
Bunny girls. But, yeah, it's just like, who cares? Like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's
also, like, I don't care if they play their game or not. If they don't play their game, like, who cares? If they do play their game, who cares?
Yeah,
they go to work on their game, and they have free time when they're at home. Who cares what they do?
I just like big bonus me, man. Like, you know, like if you have like a swimming coach, right? You know, a swimming coach is not necessarily actually good at swimming or at football or anything, like any kind of sport, right? Like they can know what they're doing and know how the game works, and you know how to even like teach other people how to do it. But they don't have to be amazing at it themselves, right? Like, but I don't know. Seriously, yeah. And yes, guys, we have to have Brazil in here because we need someone to be contrarian at every turn. That's correct. Yeah, that is accurate, guys. Okay, hey,
I'm here just to keep the like to dislike ratio in check. That's the only reason.
Well, it won't be public.
Dislikes are gone.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Wait, what?
YouTube are removing the dislike button. Oh no, they're removing the dislike count, not the button.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
because speaking of developing stuff, they don't know how to remove the actual physical button, so they just hide it.
They probably know how to remove it.
So yeah, I'm just memeing. But I have another idea about gem store stuff they can sell. So we've been talking about bugs for a while. Just sell the bug fixes. No?
I mean,
but I don't think anyone would buy them. I don't think anyone cares.
To kind of go back, could you go back to the crowdfunding thing? Do you think how many gems do you think you would have to have? Like, imagine if there was like goal, right? We'll fix a bunch of bugs, right? I don't think they would ever do that, by the way. I think it would be almost like a little bit tacky, right? But I wonder how much that actually costs. I bet it's way more than any of us here would probably expect, right?
I mean, think about it. It would probably take like 3 full-time devs to be like permanent bug fixers. That's like probably like over $200,000. Like that's a year. That's no joke.
How much turnover would there be in that position too? If all you did all day was go in and try to figure out why something was bugged, you would quit your job after 3 months.
Yeah.
100% you would.
Especially because you're like reading code with no documentation and no notes that people made, and like
you're going to be underpaid first of all, because that position is going to be seen as something that anyone can do. So they're going to pay you your like $16 an hour, maybe. And considering where the studio is located, that's piss. That's nothing. And you're not going to have a benefits package because they're just going to want to work you like 30 hours a week, and they're going to say, "Yeah, fix the bugs," and then you're going to quit. Which maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But even still, if all you're doing is fixing bugs, that sucks. That's what you get put on whenever your boss is retaliating and you're too afraid to report them. Just permanent bug fixing.
That's what you let us do. We just figured out the bugs for free.
Yeah, exactly. The community will figure them out for free, and then you just fix them if you want to.
Nice. It makes me very sad.
You're gonna have to cut this section out too, aren't you?
Yeah,
Teapot?
I mean, it's getting to being quite a long tea time at this point. But don't worry, the YouTube video is going to be very, very short. But
It's just going to be an introduction, and that's it.
That's how they. This kind of process is why dungeons never got fixed. Like anyone who even opened the source file for it immediately left the company, right? Like immediately they're done, right? But anyway, do we have anything else to actually talk about, or have we entered like the absolute lunacy unchained phase? I think we're getting there. We're definitely getting there right now.
What did we talk about? Specs, new things they could add, gem store.
We got a lot.
Yeah, we hit all the bases.
I think we hit it all. I think this is going to be a good time to actually just wrap things up.
I got one more thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
shit.
okay.
Oh,
Let's do it.
We know that they're going to add new faces and hairstyles to the thing, right?
Yep.
Are they going to add a new face that is more meta than the same face Mela uses on all of his characters, the anime face? Will there be a face that triumphs over the anime face?
Okay, look. First of all, it's not anime face. It's like, it's like the second anime face. I guess. Never mind. But look, if they did that, they would make money off of it because then I have to buy, permanent change contracts to actually change all my faces. So they do make money off of that. So they should definitely do that. Me and all the rest of the PvE crew, all the raiders and stuff, we need to actually use real money to buy permanent contracts. Like makeover kits.
You remember
So
when
we
the
found the next
meta?
expansion.
Remember when the meta in dungeon records was to change your hairstyle at some point, like in the middle of the run, to show how casually you were taking the whole run? You guys need to do that when you go for sub 2. When you actually go for the sub 2 push, you have to do like a total makeover in the middle of the.
And we upload it as weekly clear, right?
Yep, exactly.
Clear, which is technically true, by the way.
Daily run,
casual daily run. Right.
It's also first try, so it also counts as first try.
It is first try as well. Yeah. Before we weren't going for it. We were never going for sub 2. We just did the first try.
First.
Yeah. Hashtag first. Yep. There it is. There we can get that going there too. Oh man, that's a good one. It is a funny thing to say, but I mean, ArenaNet like really they do lean into the Kumas, right? They know, right? ArenaNet are aware of what people like in this game. They have the data, they have the analytics, they know that everyone's playing human female.
Have you looked at the stats on efficiency?
Yeah, it's like 44% human. Weirdly enough, actually, the amount of characters is actually about 50-50, approximately. It's biased towards female characters, I think, by like a few percentages, but it is actually surprisingly even. But that is probably overrepresentative, obviously, but of the actual data on who's playing, how many humans are playing the game, right? I suppose. But yeah, it's surprisingly close. But yeah, humans dominate massively, and therefore the Kumas dominate as well. Celestial Outfit, whatever it's called, right? What is it called? Like Starborn or whatever? I love that stuff. And
that's because bots can Coom.
Yeah.
Mr. Destructoid.
All right. Bots? I mean, dude, the only thing I want to talk about is how, unfortunately, now the onion farm is impossible because bots are taking over the onion market. That's it's the only relevant part of the botting conversation to have, I think. Like, I mean, look, seriously, if you go and check on the trading post right now, onions have crashed to 60 copper.
Up. Yeah, they went up in price.
I'm joking, buddy. Right?
No, I'm not. They actually went up in price for the past 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you have a video that tells people to start farming onions, right, and it's on the official Guild Wars 2 Twitter, then, dude, like, that's the moment to strike in the market and get in there.
Yep.
There you go.
You have to.
Wait, 70 copper right now? Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what to do, chat. Buy until 1 gold.
No, don't do that. Oh boy.
If that actually happened, that would be so good. That would be an amazing meme, right? If it actually went to like 1 gold per onion, That'd be
Dude,
insane.
the bot that people would make bots. Like
People would actually be farming onions.
yeah, like the teleport bots would like all the China farmers would be like totally hard farming onions if they went that high. That's why you couldn't get the price that high for very long.
Yeah.
The RMT or bots would be on it.
Onions replacing ectos and mystic coins is the number one source of transferring wealth now.
Onion gambler merchant.
Dude, onion gambler? Holy shit. You have to like put in 250 onions and 100 gold. It like gives you a random amount of onions out and like golden onions that you can sell.
What a meme.
Wow. Yeah, that really will be quite something. But anyway, I think this is a good time to wrap things up here a little bit and do some, very, very delayed introductions. In fact, just like Pang said, the way this TeaTime is going to be edited, it's going to be the intro, right? Then it's going to be 3 minutes of talking about Echovald Wilds and immediately cutting to here. So make it count, guys. Let's get this going right now. Brand new on the show here, making his entrance, the Cat Lord. It is Pang. Yeah. Tell us about your activities in game and who you are.
Well, I've been playing Guild Wars since Guild Wars 1. Since 2005, I've been playing Guild Wars 1. Hopped over to Guild Wars 2. Been playing that forever. I do everything in this game. Got God of Wolfworld last year. Feels good, man. I do everything. Raids, fractals. I'm also doing a NA raid giveaway in December. So for anyone that wants raid giveaways, CMs on top of that. So, some Doom CMers feels good. Yeah, definitely feels good, man. But yeah, also alliances. When, alliances gets announced, we're going to be kicking that off on NA as well with HS. And yeah, I do everything. I'm always in the game. I got like way too many hours in this game. So if ever you have you want to contact me, you just send me a DM on the game. That's how to catch me. And yeah, that's it.
I'm always excited to hear that Pang is going to be doing nothing but Doom CM for 12 hours in a row, just like Diaxon last time. Have fun with that for sure. Well, let's go again. Here. The man who changed the game, spreading the word on how to farm gold. It is Nike, Onion Master.
Yep, won't be the last time either. I'll find something else, some under the radar strats. It's playing PoE. It really teaches you to find like the strat, the money making strats that other people aren't. Like you really get like a feel for that.
I mean, tell us about some plans coming up. What's up next? Is it going to be some onion farming stream, live onion farm guide?
I do have to finish my boost build guides. That's probably next on YouTube. Check that out.
There's some good ones, so stay tuned there, guys. You can go and click on those links there. ! hosts in the chat, and of course below the stream, below the video, to go ahead and take a look at what the hell is going on there. Okay, and next up, taking a day off, and therefore, unfortunately, guys, he has breached his contract that he has to stream 8 hours every day and will now be purged from Hardstuck for being lazy. It's Mela.
What? Hello. I am now not in Hardstuck anymore. Feels bad then. But yeah, I stream every day on Twitch. I took a day off today. Unlucky. I'm now kicked. I do strikes, raids, fractals. I've been farming open world because I'm now a casual and I'm crafting legendaries every month. Raid training and onion farming now as well. I've actually added it to my daily routine because of Nike. And yeah, I follow on Twitch, /Mela, YouTube Mela on Twitch because Mela was taken. Feels bad. And yeah, come and watch every day. Call me a noob. I'll call you a noob back. And we interact and do stuff.
Fantastic. And the voice of doom, the man behind the overlay, it's Brazil, aka Underworld Video Preston, lurking around to tell us a little about what you've got going on there as well.
What's up, gamers? Yeah, so it's UWV_Preston everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, except for YouTube because I need 50 more subs and I'll be able to get a custom URL there.
Nice.
So you can find my YouTube linked on my Twitter and website and stuff, underworldvideo.com. But yeah, I stream Guild Wars 2. Going to be doing that on Mondays. And we're going to do a bunch of content. We're going to do dungeons, a raw soloing. We're going to do world versus world roaming, a bunch of cool stuff. But I'm also a photographer. So if you're interested in seeing any of the work that I'm doing, any of the social issues that I'm documenting, like homelessness, check out my website, underworldvideo.com. You can check out all my work, all the cool pictures that I take. And you can tell me how awesome I am and pump up my ego whenever I stream. You can come in the chat. So
Hell yeah.
UWV_Preston. It's me.
All right. Thank you there for those introductions to our wonderful hosts. And of course, you're here right now, so it's pretty easy to find this channel. So that's the good news. But if you haven't already, make sure you follow the stream. Come back and watch. I'm streaming nearly every day as well because I'm on a constant quest to actually test the tensile strength of my own vocal cords. How long will it be before I simply snap them and can't speak anymore? Find out together with me, guys. Let's go. But anyway, be sure to follow, subscribe if you want to. Follow me everywhere as well. I'm easy, at MightyTeapot, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Okay, join my Discord, join Hardstuck Discord, get involved there. Go watch all the YouTube videos. Go watch all the tea times there as well, guys. Here are all my social media things. Get over there right now. And of course, another message there for all of these fantastic hosts. Thank you all so much for watching this tea time. It was certainly an interesting one. I have to say, I was expecting a fairly chill, relaxing tea time here as well. Just chatting about the game, a little bit of a discussion here and there. I was not expecting the wild, unchained ride that we got, but hey, that's the adventure of running this podcast. It's good to be back here mostly weekly, and we'll try and keep these coming as well. Thank you very much to my host. Thank you much, everyone, for watching here as well. I'm a little bit tired, you can probably say, see by the fact that I can't speak whatsoever. But fortunately, I don't need to do that anymore, at least for a little while. So thanks for watching, guys. We will all see you next time. Except I'll see you right now because I'm probably going to keep streaming. But, right, for those of you on YouTube, we're out of here. See you guys later. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else, actually.
Go. Yeah, I posted a link in Twitch chat again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it one more time. I'll post feed pictures. I'll post feed pictures on Twitter for every day for a week if I get 100 subs. Every day for a week.
What a great way to end it. Thanks for watching the stream, guys. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you next time. Subscribe for feed pics.